Chapter 666. Flying above the boundless sea was a very boring thing. The scenery around them was unchanging. Apart from the sky, there was only the sea. Occasionally, there would be some small island. Flying continuously would consume physical and mental strength. Of course, for human sovereign realm warriors, this was nothing. The impact was minimal. But Hu Lang was exhausted. He had the feeling that someone was following him, and he could not get rid of it. It was a strange feeling, but it felt real. Hu Lang tried to change directions several times. But no matter how hard he tried, the feeling lingered in his mind and appeared in the depth of his soul. Ahead of him was the Sea of Silence. He had been at the Clouds Plains for so many years that he was familiar with this area. This was also known as the Sea of Death. There were too many beast kings in this area, and they could run into one at any time. The problem was that this area was too vast for Hu Lang to go around unless he changed his direction and went south, east and west instead of north. That being said, Hu Lang did not dare to change his direction for fear that the other three directions would be even more dangerous. The east was the Clouds Plains, which seemed to be the safest. That being said, Hu Lang believed that the person behind the scenes would not let him and Lu Li go back to the Clouds Plains so easily. To the west was the Central Plains. Going to the Central Plains would be like sending sheep into a tiger's den. Powerful warriors were coming after them from the south. Hu Lang had no choice but to go north. He looked at Lu Li on his back. Lu Li looked better, but he was still in a deep sleep. It had been 3 days and 2 nights, and he was still in a coma. Lu Li must have been seriously injured. Roar! 4 hours later, they heard a loud roar coming from the bottom of the sea. Waves were stirred up as a huge tail rose up toward Hu Lang and Lu Li. He knew that there were many beast kings at the Sea of Silence, but he didn't expect to run into one so soon. Hu Lang took out his axe and swung it like a windmill. A phantom of a huge beast appeared, and he hacked at the tail. Boom! The phantom of the giant beast collided with the huge tail, and Hu Lang forcefully smashed the tail down. The powerful shockwave caused the nearby seawater to sink by hundreds of feet, and huge waves rose in all directions, as if a tsunami had occurred. Let's go! Hu Lang flew high up into the sky, not daring to stop or get entangled with the Beast King. Hiss! Before he could get too far away, a huge tail swung at him from behind. This time, Hu Lang didn't have the time to activate his profound art. He could only swing his giant axe in a backhand slash. Bang! The sound of metal colliding resounded, and the violent force sent Hu Lang flying. His arm was in pain, and he almost lost his axe. Hu Lang, on the other hand, borrowed the tremendous force to increase his speed and continued to flee. Xiao! Beast Emperor followed closely behind. Like the whip of a god, it continuously lashed out with its tail, sending Hu Lang flying time and time again. Hu Lang could only hold on bitterly. Since Hu Lang had chosen to enter the Nirvana Ocean, he had to be mentally prepared to face the continuous pursuit of the Beast Emperor. Hu Lang had nowhere to go. He had to carry Lu Li and run on desperately. After being chased by the Beast King for 6 whole hours, Hu Lang's chest was dyed red with his own blood. He finally managed to shake off the Beast King. Looking at the churning seawater in front of him, a cruel smile appeared on Hu Lang's face. Only now did he realize that he had not gotten rid of the Beast King. He had come to the territory of another Beast King. Now, another Beast King was chasing after him, and Lu Li, young Master Li, wake up. I don't think I can hold on much longer, Hu Lang murmured, wiping the blood off his mouth. He gritted his teeth and flew on to the left. Now that he was in the Nirvana Ocean, he had no other choice but to run. Swish! Just as he flew forward for a few breaths of time, the seawater below him turned into water arrows that shot upwards. Those water arrows were like real giant arrows that flew over from all directions. Every single one of them contained a terrifying power, and their speed was not much different from the profound energy attacks he shot out. There was a Beast King down there that knew water skills. Hu Lang felt bitter. This kind of beast king was harder to deal with than the previous one. Since it was the sea down there, water skills were more powerful. Hoi! He swung his giant axe left and right, shattering the water arrows one by one as he struggled to break out of the siege. He used his body to shield Lu Li from the powerful shockwave, but more blood came out from the corner of his mouth. 2 hours, 4 hours, Hu Lang broke out of the encirclement again. The Beast King behind him stopped shooting water arrows, but Hu Lang didn't let his guard down. He had left the territory of one Beast King and was about to step into the territory of another Beast King. He didn't know how much longer he could hold on. More importantly, he felt the pursuers were getting closer. Young Masterly, if you don't wake up, we will both die in the Nirvana Ocean. Hu Lang landed on a small island and took 2 healing pellets. He looked at the unconscious Lu Li and sighed. Even if Lu Li could wake up, would they be able to get away? On this thought, a glint of despair rose in Hu Lang's eyes. What could Lu Li do even if he woke up? Could the two of them deal with the pursuers? Even if Hu Lang stayed behind to stop them, could Lu Li, who was injured, make it through the Nirvana Ocean and survive the pursuit of the Beast Kings? After a moment of rest, Hu Lang felt the pursuers were getting closer. He had to make up his mind and fly on. I hope the Beast King up ahead is not too strong, Hu Lang prayed to himself. He used psychic power to check the area down below and tried to fly as high as possible. The sky was covered with dark clouds and lightning bolts. The higher he flew, the more dangerous it would be. That being said, he had no other choice but to take the risk. Bang! Water splashed everywhere. A huge shadow emerged from the water. Hu Lang was scared out of his wits when he saw it. This was because a huge sea lion had broken out of the water and was chasing after them. It was a very beautiful blue sea lion. Its entire body was covered in blue scales, and there were blue spikes on its head and tail. Its tail was especially long, and there was a barb at the tip. Its pair of bell-like eyes were filled with coldness, and it was frightening to look at. The blue sea lion was more than 1,000 feet long. Compared to it, Hu Lang and Lu Li were like an adult and a mosquito. The difference in size was suffocating and frightening. The powerful qi and blood in the Beast King made it hard for Hu Lang to breathe. Roar! The blue sea lion opened its mouth and let out a deafening roar. The roar was like Lu Li's dragon roar. It was so loud that Hu Lang's eardrums hurt and the space was twisted. A gust of wind sprang up and even Hu Lang was knocked back for dozens of feet. Lu Li was in a coma. He was woken up by the roar of the beast. He opened his eyes weakly and saw that Hu Lang, who was carrying him on his back, was injured by the beast. Blood was gushing out, Lu Li's face was pale and his eyes were listless. Lu Li knew that Hu Lang had suffered a lot. Looking at the beast flying over, Lu Li thought for the time for 2 breaths. Patting Hu Lang's shoulder, Lu Li said, "Okay, Hu Lang, let me handle this Beast King. Take a break." "Young Masterly, you are awake?" Chapter 667. Whoosh! The huge beast in front of them was like a moving mountain. Hu Lang grabbed Lu Li's hand and threw him away. He brandished his giant axe and fearlessly swung it at the giant beast in front of him. Bang! The beast reached out a claw several times the size of a human and scratched at Hu Lang's axe. With a muffled sound, sparks flew. The beast was knocked away for dozens of feet. Hu Lang lost his grip on his axe and was smashed away. Blood gushed out from his mouth. Roar, roar! The beast's claw seemed to have been injured by Hu Lang. It roared into the sky in rage and dashed toward Hu Lang like a shooting star. Blue airstream came out from its mouth, as if it was about to launch a powerful attack. Whoosh! At the same time, 2 black dots came from the south. Laughter came from the distance. Ha, ha, ha! Hu Lang, bastard, where can you run to today? Recluse Solar Dragon, Zhao Moyong. Hu Lang turned around and his already pale face turned even paler. He yelled hysterically, "Young Masterly, run! I'll hold them off for now. If you don't, I will not rest in peace. Why should I run? The fate wheel came out from Lu Li's abdomen. He dashed toward Hu Lang and the blue sea lion like a shooting star. Lu Li didn't launch any attacks. His eyes glowed and a surge of qi and energy spread out from him. Roar! The huge lion was fast. It lifted its paw, trying to kill the puny human being in front of it. Hu Lang turned pale with fright. He shouted, "Young Master Li, are you out of your mind?" Lu Li remained calm and didn't launch any attack. He just stared at the blue sea lion in front of him. The silver glow in his eyes grew brighter. There was a faint airstream around him which made the qi and energy from him even stronger. Hu Lang found that familiar. He looked at Lu Li from the distance. Suddenly, he felt Lu Li was not a puny human being anymore. He was more like a dragon. Hu Lang came to his senses. The qi and energy from Lu Li was the same as that of the silver dragon in the underground palace. The airstream around Lu Li was the dragon's qi and energy from the dragon. Roar! The beast king roared into the sky and smashed at Lu Li. It was so fast that it reached Lu Li's face in an instant. But, the huge claw stopped abruptly about 10 feet in front of Lu Li's face. The scene seemed to have frozen at this moment. There was a huge difference between a giant beast that was over 1,000 feet in size and a tiny human being. At this moment, the huge beast claw was about to slap the tiny human to death, but it stopped in midair, not daring to slap down. This scene was too incongruous, and the impact on one's heart was too great. When Hu Lang looked at the Beast King's head, he saw the fear in its eyes. The scene was even more unsettling, and Hu Lang couldn't wrap his head around it. Beast, kneel. Lu Li's eyes glowed again. If Hu Lang were standing across from him, he would be able to see that there were 2 silver dragons roaring and hovering in Lu Li's eyes. From Lu Li's perspective, he looked more like a dragon in human form. Wu, the blue beast, was about to let out a furious roar, but it turned into a puppy-like whimper. Then, under Hu Lang's shocked stare, the beast really bent its limbs and knelt in midair. What? Hu Lang was stunned. He had lived for more than 300 years, and this was the first time he had seen something so strange. If it were not for the fact that Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang were getting closer, Hu Lang would have thought he was dreaming. A beast king. A beast king that was comparable to the human sovereign realm was the king of beasts. Not only did it not attack Lu Li, it knelt in midair because of Lu Li's roar? This was the biggest joke in the world. Not even a beast king could make a beast king kneel, let alone a human being like Lu Li. Only if Lu Li was a beast god could he force a powerful beast king to kneel. Beast god. Hu Lang's eyes glowed. He remembered the beast claw he got from the underground palace, the one that Lu Li refined. That beast claw was so powerful and domineering, hundreds of times more powerful than that of a beast king. Back then, Hu Lang wondered if that beast claw was the legendary claw of a beast god. Seeing this, Hu Lang was even more convinced. Lu Li had refined the claw of a beast god and possessed the might of a beast god. That was why he could suppress the beast king and make it kneel. There was a strict hierarchy among Xian beasts. Powerful Xian beasts could deter other beasts with their might. Only a more powerful one could deter a beast king. Nice. Hu Lang cheered to himself. Looking at Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang who were getting closer, Hu Lang shouted to Lu Li, "Young Master Li, see if you can control this beast king. Go and attack Zhao Moyang and Recluse Solar Dragon. Watch me." Lu Li flew up and landed on the beast king's head. The beast king bellowed in rage, feeling humiliated. As Lu Li's qi and energy grew, the blue sea lion could only whimper. Attack the 2 humans. Lu Li pointed to Zhao Moyang and Recluse Solar Dragon in the distance. The blue sea lion shook its head and growled. Lu Li stomped on the blue sea lion's head. The blue sea lion dashed toward Zhao Moyang and Recluse Solar Dragon in rage. He really took control of the Beast King. Hu Lang was trembling with excitement. Lu Li could control Beast Kings. This was incredible. Although many beast emperors had been killed in this world, there were still at least 800 beast emperors left. Luli could control all of them. He would be a force to be feared, a force that could make even the royal families of the Central Plains tremble. How, in the distance, two silhouettes streaked across the sky like meteors. Seeing a huge beast flying over, the two of them suddenly stopped in midair. When they saw Luli standing on the beast, they were dumbfounded. Beast emperors were the emperors of beasts. They possessed extremely high intelligence, as well as supreme pride and dignity. Throughout history, humans had tried to control Xian beasts. That being said, many ancestors had tried their best but could only control some low-level Xian beasts. To control a beast king was a pipe dream. Nobody in history could tame a beast king. Even if someone could tame a cub of a beast king, when the cub grew up and became a real beast king, the beast king would leave quietly and return to the woods. The pride and dignity of a beast king would not allow it to become a human's mount or a spiritual beast. In the eyes of the beast kings, even if humans had powerful divine abilities and powers, they were still insignificant creatures. They would never submit to humans. Today, Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang had seen a ghost. Luli was standing on the head of a beast king, and he was controlling the beast king to attack them. Roar, the blue sea lion bellowed. Blue airstream gushed out from its mouth, which turned into a cold current and covered up an area with a radius of 30 miles. Wherever the cold current passed, the space was completely frozen, and its might was shocking. Retreat! Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang stepped back immediately to avoid being frozen by the blue sea lion's divine sense. They looked at each other but didn't run away. They were ready to fight to the death. This was their last chance. Either they could kill Luli or they could die in the ocean. Chapter 668. There was a beast king, an injured jackal and Luli who seemed to be in a serious state. Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang believed they still had a chance. Everything would be fine as long as they could kill Luli. It didn't matter whether Hulang could kill Luli or not. They made eye contact for a while and made up their minds. They split up, flew to the left and right and then dashed toward the blue sea lion. They decided to fight with all their might. Even if the blue sea lion could kill one of them, as long as the other one could kill Luli, everything would be worth it. Whoosh, Hulang could tell what the two were up to. He flew over with all his might, ready to fight one each with the blue sea lion so that Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang would not have the chance to attack Luli. Piss off! Recluse Solar Dragon swung the iron cudgel in his hand, which grew infinitely longer and larger. It swept toward Hulang with a shocking power like the cudgel of God. The axe in Hulang's hand was knocked away. Without a weapon to defend himself, Hulang had to fly away. However, he was hit by Recluse Solar Dragon and was smashed away. Hulang had gone through the area of two beast kings and was smashed away by the blue sea lion. He was injured badly. Recluse Solar Dragon was not injured at all. He was also at the middle stage of the human sovereign realm, so it was not surprising that he was smashed away. Hoi! After Hulang was smashed away, Recluse Solar Dragon swung his iron rod at the blue sea lion's head. The iron rod glowed with a dark cyan airstream. It was quite powerful. If this hit landed, the blue lion might be fine, but Luli would definitely be smashed into meat paste. Go to hell! Zhao Moyang made up his mind. He held a huge shield in front of him and swung his saber at Luli from behind. The saber in his hand grew longer and he hacked at Luli from another direction. Luli smiled coldly. He felt no pressure. Pointing to Recluse Solar Dragon, he shouted, "Blue Sea Lion, freeze him!" Roar! The blue sea lion breathed out a stream of blue air. It was so fast that it froze Recluse Solar Dragon in an instant. Rising dragon skill! Luli yelled. His back glared in a silver glare. In his eyes, a huge shadow of a silver dragon emerged from his back. It hovered above him with its claws and fangs and then flew away. Soon, it vanished into thin air. Ah! Zhao Moyang was scared out of his wits. He once killed Li Yang with this move. Even though Lu Li did it later, it was just a bluff. But at this moment, Zhao Moyang could clearly feel an incomparably powerful pressure enveloping him. Deep in his soul, he sensed a fatal danger. This move was a real killing move, and not a bluff. Chi, the space above Zhao Moyang was torn apart. In the next moment, a huge silver beast claw appeared, grabbing at Zhao Moyang. The aura exuding from the giant silver claw made Zhao Moyang feel that it was a real dragon claw, the claw of a beast god. Ha! At the critical moment of life and death, Zhao Moyang had no choice but to crazily pour his dark force into the shield and raise it high into the sky, trying to use the shield to block the violent blow. Gotcha! The gigantic silver claw smashed down heavily, shattering the shield into pieces. Zhao Moyang's body was crushed into a pile of minced meat. The huge beast claw continued to whiz downwards and slammed into the sea. The terrifying force caused the seawater below to sink in as if a huge whirlpool had appeared. Blue Sea Lion, tear him apart. After this move, Lu Li felt weak all over. He collapsed on the head of the Blue Sea Lion. His forehead and back were drenched in sweat. His face that had just regained some color turned pale again. Roar, roar, there was still a trace of fear in the Blue Sea Lion's eyes. The silver dragon that Lu Li just released had scared the Blue Sea Lion. In that silver dragon, the Blue Sea Lion sensed the real might of a beast god, not just a simple dragon imitation. The Blue Sea Lion did not hesitate to follow Lu Li's order. To the Blue Sea Lion, Lu Li was no longer a human being, but a human-shaped dragon, a god of all beasts. The Blue Sea Lion roared, waved its huge claw and smashed at Recluse Solar Dragon's head that was sealed in ice. Crack! When the Blue Sea Lion smashed down, the ice in which Recluse Solar Dragon was frozen cracked. Recluse Solar Dragon flew out. But the huge claw was coming. Recluse Solar Dragon had to hold up his rod to stop it. Bang! Recluse Solar Dragon was smashed into the sea like a kite with a broken string. Soon, Recluse Solar Dragon flew out from the sea, but he didn't attack again. Instead, he fled into the distance like a shooting star. Zhao Moyang was smashed to death. He knew he had lost, a crushing defeat. If he didn't run now, he would become a pile of minced meat, a meal for the Blue Sea Lion. You want to run? Weak as he was, Lu Li forced himself not to pass out. He sneered and said to the Blue Sea Lion, "Go after him." Recluse Solar Dragon had escaped several times. This time, Lu Li would not leave any potential trouble. He would kill Recluse Solar Dragon even if he had to go to the ends of the world or to the Samsara Palace of the Central Plains. Whoosh! Hu Lang dashed over from behind, his face filled with excitement and ecstasy. He had been chased for days and nights. Now, the tables had turned. It was their turn to go after Recluse Solar Dragon. Hu Lang, come here. Lu Li waved to him, seeing that Hu Lang was still following him. Hu Lang was hesitating. After all, this was a beast king. How could he be allowed to stand on it? After a moment of hesitation, Hu Lang chose to trust Lu Li. He flew up and tried to stand next to Lu Li. The Blue Sea Lion sensed Hu Lang's intention. It turned its huge head over and glared at Hu Lang coldly. Hu Lang was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Bastard! Lu Li snorted. He released his chi and energy. The Blue Sea Lion whimpered and turned its head away, feeling wronged. Hu Lang was overjoyed. He flew up and stood next to Lu Li. He was as excited as a child, grinning like a silly child. Recluse Solar Dragon was fast. The Blue Sea Lion was not so fast. It could barely keep up with Recluse Solar Dragon. Therefore, there was a distance of 10 to 20 miles between them. Lu Li was not in a hurry. He took 2 healing pellets and sat down with his legs crossed. Looking at Hu Lang, who was standing on the head of the Blue Sea Lion, Lu Li sighed and said, "Tend to your wounds first. What if there is another ambush?" Hu Lang scratched his head, feeling guilty. He took out 2 healing pellets and sat down to tend to his wounds, just like Luli did. He was not as fast as the blue sea lion. He couldn't catch up with Recluse Solar Dragon even if he tried his best. This was the Sea of Silence with beast kings everywhere. Where could Recluse Solar Dragon go? Recluse Solar Dragon could only wait for his death if he was stopped by a beast king. As he had expected, in just an hour, huge waves rose up in front of them and a huge head popped up from the sea. Then, 9 huge tentacles reached out from the sea and shot towards Recluse Solar Dragon, trying to entangle him. Recluse Solar Dragon was frightened. If he was entangled by this octopus, he would definitely die in the sea. Chapter 669. Recluse Solar Dragon rarely used his bloodline skill because he thought it was shameful. This time, he had to use it in order to save his life. A purple glare came out from his neck and a beautiful snake lady emerged. The snake beauty's upper body was naked, and she looked very lewd. A grown man releasing such a bloodline godly skill, even if it was anyone else, they would feel ashamed. Because of this bloodline skill, Recluse Solar Dragon had been ridiculed since he was a kid. That was why he had developed a perverted mentality. The beautiful snake lady flew down and disappeared into the body of the Octopus King. The 9 tentacles of the Octopus King stopped moving. Recluse Solar Dragon whooshed away and vanished into the distance. Whoosh! Luli and Hulang came on the blue sea lion. They were surprised to see Recluse Solar Dragon intimidating the Beast King in an instant. Recluse Solar Dragon had been hiding a powerful 7th rank bloodline skill, and it was of a soul type. It was powerful. Gurgle soon, the Octopus King came back to its senses. Recluse Solar Dragon had run away. The Octopus King could only look at the blue sea lion and Luli and Hulang. Gurgle! The Octopus King screamed in rage. Its 6 eyes were filled with ferocity. It seemed to be blaming the blue sea lion for overstepping its boundaries and trespassing into its territory. The Octopus King looked down on the blue sea lion for being ridden by 2 humans. 9 tentacles with jagged teeth reached over, trying to entangle the blue sea lion and Luli. The blue sea lion bellowed in rage. There was a blue airstream circling around its mouth as it fought back. Buzzing! Luli was surrounded by a faint airstream. He released a strange chi and energy that even Hulang felt suffocated. The 9 tentacles stopped in midair. The Octopus King's 6 eyes were filled with terror. Bastard, come with us to kill that man! Luli shouted. 2 silver dragons appeared in his eyes. The Octopus King's 6 eyes were filled with even more terror. Seeing that the Octopus King didn't move, Luli jumped down from the head of the blue sea lion. He landed on the Octopus King's head and shouted, "Bastard? You don't want to listen to me?" The Octopus King retracted its 6 tentacles. Its 6 eyes glowed. After the time for one breath, it dived forward. "Blue sea lion, follow me!" Luli turned around and shouted to the blue sea lion in the sky. The blue sea lion whimpered and followed Luli. Hulang was beaming with joy. It was as if he had tamed the blue lion. He hated the fact that no one could see his majestic and domineering side. One beast king split into 2 and they kept on chasing. Recluse Solar Dragon was indeed fast. The 2 beast emperors had reached their top speed. After chasing for several hours, they could only see a small black dot in the distance. They could not get closer. Hulang was getting anxious. They couldn't keep chasing like this. Their only advantage was that they didn't have to fly. Recluse Solar Dragon had to fly. But with Long Yang's strength, it would not affect his speed even if he flew for half a month without rest. Luli didn't know that Recluse Sea, but Dragon was Solar Dragon was still in. When they left, Little White was still in the Sea of Lightning. They didn't know where it was now. If Little White got lost, it would be troublesome. How could they find it in the vast sea? Luli wanted to ask Hulang to look for Little White, but he decided not to. It had been a long time. If Little White had been following the patriarch of the Goo family to the Island of Tranquility, then it would still be there. If it wasn't, Luli wouldn't be able to find it now. He was weak. He had 2 Beast Kings under his control, but what if he was ambushed by several human Sovereign Realm warriors? He wouldn't be able to fight back, and he wouldn't be able to run away. The 2 Beast Kings were under his control for the time being, but they were not his spiritual beasts. It was troublesome to control them, and sometimes they would be disobedient. He was not really controlling them. He was just suppressing the 2 Beast Kings. Hulang was right. Luli was controlling the 2 Beast Kings with the might of a beast god. After he consumed the beast claw, Luli had gained a surge of energy. It was horrifying. He felt he could control any Xian beast. Xian beasts of higher ranks could suppress those of lower ranks and control them. Luli was using the might of a beast god to control the Beast Kings. Beast Kings were proud and dignified. They would not be controlled by humans because they viewed humans as puny creatures. However, to them, Luli was no longer a human, but a beast god in human form. That was why he could control them. As for the Rising Dragon skill, it was another bloodline skill that Luli acquired after he consumed the Beast Claw and Origin Blood Essence. This bloodline skill was horrifying. Luli could kill 2 human Sovereign Realm warriors with just 2 uses. That was why the Origin Blood Essence of Beast God was so powerful. The Origin Blood Essence that Luli consumed was far inferior to this one. That being said, Luli could barely use the Rising Dragon skill given his current physical condition. Both times he forced himself to use it, Luli's vitality was sapped. It would take him days to recover. When Luli used the Rising Dragon skill, he felt he was drained. At that moment, he couldn't even stand straight. In the underground palace, to scare away the 2 human Sovereign Realm warriors, he forced himself to use the Rising Dragon skill again. As a result, he passed out and slept for 3 days and 3 nights. If it were not for the Beast Kings, he would have slept for a few more days. Keep going. I will kill that bastard solar dragon even if I have to go to the Central Plains. Luli shook his head. He closed his eyes and sat with his legs crossed to recover his strength. Recluse Solar Dragon was rushing toward the east. Clearly, he wanted to go to the Central Plains. Luli had made up his mind. He would not stop until he killed Recluse Solar Dragon. 3 days, 5 days, half a month. Recluse Solar Dragon had been on the run for half a month, and he did not stop at all. Luli and Hulang had been following him. But there were 3 Beast Kings following Luli and 1 more, the Sea Serpent. Up ahead is the Central Plains, Hulang had recovered a long time ago. Gazing into the distance, he said anxiously, "This old tortoise is good at running. It has been half a month and he hasn't slowed down at all. Young Masterly? Keep going?" "Go." Luli shrugged. He had recovered in half a month as well. He had 3 Beast Kings on his tail. What was there to be afraid of? Would the royal families of the Central Plains dare to stop him? He had just openly made an enemy out of him? Whose territory is that? Luli had lost his sense of direction. He had no idea where he was at the Central Plains. Hulang thought about it and said, "I think it is the territory of the Hades Society." The Hades Society was at the northwest of the Central Plains. Luli was surprised. They had deviated so far and were already at the northwest of the Central Plains? Seeing that they were about to enter the land, the 3 Beast Kings were hesitating. The intelligence of a beast emperor was not inferior to that of a human. They knew very well that once they entered the Central Plains, they would be killed by powerful human warriors and they would become mystical materials for human warriors to cultivate. "What are you afraid of?" Seeing that the sea serpent was slowing down, Luli glared at it coldly. He released some energy and shouted, "Follow me and nobody will dare to kill you. I will wipe out the entire family of anyone that dares to step back." The Beast Kings might not be able to understand Luli's words, but they understood what he was trying to convey. Sensing Luli's energy, the three Beast Kings had no choice but to fly toward the land. The three Beast Kings flew up and hovered in midair toward the land. Recluse Solar Dragon took the lead and dashed to the land. There was a small city in the distance. Recluse Solar Dragon flew over, trying to teleport away. Luli and Hulang each rode on a Beast King and flew away without any hesitation. Recluse Solar Dragon made up his mind. He didn't dare to teleport away. The warriors guarding the teleportation formation in the city were frightened by the Beast Kings. If Recluse Solar Dragon wanted to teleport away, it would take him some time. By then, he might be killed by Luli before he could teleport away. Therefore, Recluse Solar Dragon had to go through the city quickly and fly into the distance. Recluse Solar Dragon could leave easily, but the people in the city were scared out of their wits. Many timid ones fainted from fear. One strike from the three Beast Kings could flatten the small city in an instant. Whoosh! Luckily, Luli had the three Beast Kings under his control. Instead of killing innocent people, he just flew over the city. Chapter 670. Compared to the three Beast Kings, Luli and Hulang were too small, and they were both on the heads of the Xian beasts. The Beast Kings were so fast that they couldn't be seen from below. There were few powerful warriors in the city, not even Fate Wheel Realm warriors. They didn't even have the courage to use psychic power, so they didn't see Luli and Hulang. There were some Beast Kings in the Cloud Sea and many more powerful Xian beasts, but none of them dared to set foot in the Central Plains. The Beast Kings were well aware that the Central Plains had too many powerful warriors. Entering the Central Plains would bring disaster to them. Therefore, the Beast Kings had restrained the low-level Xian beasts. How many years had it been since a Beast King dared to mess around at the Central Plains? The small city was in an uproar. Many people left in teleportation formations, and many others spread the news through special means of communication. This area was indeed the territory of the Hades Society. But to the south of the region was the territory of the Great Buddhist Temple. The news spread across the region at a horrifying speed. The force that occupied this region was only of the 6th rank, with only one human sovereign realm warrior. How could they dare to fight against the Beast King? Eventually, the news spread to the Hades Society. In just an hour, the news had spread out. The Hades Society and the families in the nearby regions were informed. Powerful warriors of the Hades Society were dispatched and teleported over. A deputy master of the Earth Immortal Realm was alerted. The order from the Hades Society came quickly. All the warriors in the cities were told to evacuate and not to provoke the Beast Kings unless they were sure to do so in case the innocent were harmed. Luli and Hulang didn't know that they had caused such a stir by going after Recluse Solar Dragon with 3 Beast Kings. Of course, Luli wouldn't care even if he did. He was not going against the Hades Society. He was just going after an old freak. Recluse Solar Dragon was still flying fast. In this life and death crisis, he had unleashed all his potential. He had been flying for half a month. Though he was exhausted mentally and physically, he had been flying at the top of his speed. Recluse Solar Dragon was swearing to himself when he sensed that the 3 powerful warriors were still chasing after him. Luli was not afraid that the Hades Society would come after him. He had the guts to bring 3 Beast Kings into the Central Plains. What a crazy bastard! Faster, 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 Recluse Solar Dragon yelled in his heart, and a glimmer of hope for survival lit up in his eyes. He knew that the Hades Society would send powerful warriors here soon. As long as there were powerful warriors that could stop Luli and the others, he could run away easily. After flying for another 4 hours, a huge city appeared in front of them. Recluse Solar Dragon's eyes were filled with determination as he flew into the city again. He hoped that some experts would fly out from the city to stop the Beast Sovereign. He was really too tired and needed to rest for a while. Swish, swish, swish. Before he could even fly into the city, hundreds of people in the city rose into the air. They all looked at the three behemoths with terrifying auras in the distance with fear in their eyes. These three beasts are going to massacre the city. Run! Recluse Solar Dragon roared and flew over the city. The hundreds of warriors who flew out of the city were shocked, and the city was in chaos. Many soldiers followed him into the sky. This city was not a region capital, just a big city in a region. There were 20 to 30 noble Lord Realm warriors, and more than 500 of the Eternal Realm. None of them knew Recluse Solar Dragon, and they thought he was an innocent being chased by the Beast Sovereign. Charge! Hearing that the Beast Sovereign was going to massacre the city, they wanted to stall for a while so that the people in the city could have a chance to escape. A warrior at the peak of the noble Lord Realm bellowed and dashed toward the three Beast Sovereigns with hundreds of warriors. Hu Lang saw the hundreds coming from the distance. He frowned and took out his axe. If they dared to attack him, he would fight back without mercy. Don't kill them. Lu Li shook his head and said, Hu Lang, use your force field to knock them away and then catch up. Don't waste time with them. Lu Li didn't know that he was at the territory of the Hades Society. This was the territory of the great Buddhist temple. Wherever it was, those average warriors were innocent. Lu Li should try not to kill them. All right. Hu Lang flew up from the Blue Sea Lion and dashed toward the group of warriors in a blur. Before he got close, Hu Lang released his force field and suppressed the warriors in midair. Then, he made some hand shadows and smashed away the warriors. Even though many Eternal Realm warriors were injured, they didn't die. Hu Lang had shown mercy. Lu Li stood on the head of a huge boa. He whooshed over the warriors with the three Beast Sovereigns. He didn't stop and flew directly over the city. Whoosh! After he smashed away the warriors, Hu Lang sped up and caught up with the three Beast Sovereigns. Then, he stood on the Blue Sea Lion and vanished into the distance. What? Many people in the city were still trembling. Some of them had something between their legs. They were scared out of their wits. Only after Hu Lang hopped on the Blue Sea Lion and disappeared into the distance did the city burst into an uproar. There were people above the Beast Sovereigns? There were two of them. How could they stand on the heads of the Beast Sovereigns? The Beast Sovereigns didn't attack humans? The millions of people in the city had many questions. They couldn't figure out what was going on. Weren't Xian beasts and humans natural enemies? Why didn't the three Beast Sovereigns attack the city and kill the people in the city? Who were the other two? How could they stand on the heads of the Beast Sovereigns? Had the three Beast Sovereigns been tamed by the two? But how was that possible? After the commotion continued for a while, the teleportation formations in the city lit up one after another. Some communication formations lit up, and some messenger flying spirit beasts soared through the sky to spread the news of what was happening here in all directions. What is going on? Recluse Solar Dragon sensed that the three Beast Sovereigns had never stopped moving. His mind was filled with questions. Even if the three Beast Sovereigns could kill the hundreds at once, they would pause for 1 or 2 breaths. That was enough time for Recluse Solar Dragon to go dozens of miles away. Recluse Solar Dragon's eyes flickered. He took out a map of the central plains from his interspatial ring. After a few looks, he changed his direction and flew to the north. Since average noble Lord Realm warriors could not stop the three Beast Sovereigns, Recluse Solar Dragon had to go to human Sovereign Realm warriors. He would arrive at the region city in half a day if he flew to the north. Theoretically speaking, there should be at least one human Sovereign Realm warrior in a region of the Central Plains. Keep on running and keep on chasing. Recluse Solar Dragon passed by the city many times. Lu Li never asked the Beast Sovereigns or Hu Lang to kill him. Hu Lang only used force field to deter or knock him away. Half a day passed by quickly. When Recluse Solar Dragon saw an ancient city up ahead, he was relieved. He had arrived at the region city of the region. If there were no human Sovereign Realm warriors in the city, or if the human Sovereign Realm warriors in the city could not buy him time, Recluse Solar Dragon would be slowed down in half a day. In half a day, his speed would slow down and he would be torn to pieces by the three Beast Kings. Recluse Solar Dragon used the same trick. He shouted from the distance, "People in the city, run. The three beast sovereigns are on a rampage. 4 cities over there have been massacred." His shout was so loud that many warriors in the city were alarmed. A human sovereign realm warrior flew up with more than 100 noble lord realm warriors and tens of thousands of warriors. The defense forces of a region city was different from that of an average city. After Recluse Solar Dragon shouted, he took a detour to the side of the city, regardless of the questioning looks. Luli sensed that there was a human sovereign realm warrior in the city. He frowned and shouted, "Listen up. We are only going after Recluse Solar Dragon. We will not hurt anyone in the city. Don't blame us if you dare to stand in our way." Chapter 671. Along the way, Luli had lost count of how many cities he had flown past. But he didn't kill a single civilian, not even a single warrior. Therefore, he thought that as long as he shouted, the human sovereign realm warrior wouldn't stop him. After all, he had 1 human sovereign realm warrior and 3 beast kings on his side. If the human sovereign realm warrior wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Yet, such a thing happened, the human sovereign realm warrior didn't make way. Instead, he sneered and said, "Piss off. I am Serene. This is the Milky Region, the territory of the Hades Society. Vice Master will be here soon. Get out of the Central Plains now and you can stay alive. Or else you will all die a miserable death." Hulang frowned. Was this human sovereign realm warrior called Serene an idiot? Or, was the Vice Master of the Hades Society really coming? Was that why he was so confident? Luli didn't have time to waste on him. He shouted to Hulang, "Knock him away. I will go after Recluse Solar Dragon. You go after me. Don't be reckless." The human sovereign realm warrior was only at the initial stage of the human sovereign realm. Luli and Hulang didn't mind. Since this idiot wanted to suffer, then they would let him have a good time. Hulang flew up from the blue sea lion. With a glare of his axe, he generated hundreds of axe shadows. Those axe shadows were twisting around in a weird way. It was so awkward that Hulang felt like throwing up. The axe was fast. It cut through the sky toward the hundreds of warriors. "Retreat." Serene used psychic power to check. He realized that the hundreds of axe shadows were not illusions. They were Xian energy attacks formed by a special skill. How could the Eternal Realm and Noble Lord Realm warriors stand against the attacks of human Sovereign Realm warriors? Hulang shouted. His neck glowed in purple. Spiders flew out from his neck. The spiders flew in all directions and spat out huge webs that enveloped Hulang. Hulang was surprised. The webs could ignore his attacks. Even when he hacked at the webs with his axe, he couldn't break them. The webs were like airflows. They didn't explode when they collided with the axe shadows formed by his Xian energy. When energy collided, there would be a violent explosion. Clearly, the webs were made of some special energy. Otherwise, the axe wouldn't have been able to go through them. Is it an illusion? Hulang hesitated. At this moment, the axe was swinging forward. He could either retreat or ignore the spider webs and continue to attack Serene. While he was hesitating, the spider web suddenly flashed with light and increased its speed. It flew towards his body at high speed and stuck to him, wrapping him up completely. Hulang discovered that his entire body was bound by an indescribable energy, and there was a strange mucus in the spider web that was corroding his armor. He immediately turned pale with fright. There was actually such a miraculous bloodline divine skill in this world? Was this really a 7th grade bloodline skill? How could he be so perverted? Luli, who had just bypassed the warriors and flown for several miles, looked back and saw that Hulang was tied up. A trace of astonishment flashed through his eyes. Following that, he flew into a rage. This Shi Jun thought that he was number one in the world just because he had some ability? Naturally, Hu Lang could not be left behind. Otherwise, once the members of the Nether sect arrived, Hu Lang would be killed immediately. Therefore, Lu Li flew the Beast King back the way he came. Pointing at Shi Jun and the other powerful warriors, Lu Li shouted, "Kill them!" Roar! The blue sea lion raised its head and bellowed. Tens of thousands of warriors on the city wall fell down in fear. Many civilians in the city had their eardrums broken. They hugged their heads and rolled on the ground, howling. The three Beast Kings released their horrifying might. At this moment, everyone in the city felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. They didn't even dare to breathe. The more timid ones fainted from fear. Swish, swish, the nine-clawed octopus reached out its 9 tentacles and entangled the Eternal Realm and Noble Lord Realm warriors that were floating in midair. The octopus threw them into its mouth and ate them in a few bites. The blue sea lion opened its mouth and breathed out some cold air. The cold air spread out, freezing everything in its path. Several Noble Lord Realm warriors tried to run away, but they were frozen by the cold air and turned into ice sculptures standing in midair. "How dare you!" Shi Jun roared angrily. His neck shone brightly and spiders appeared. Invisible spider webs surged toward the 3 Beast Kings, trying to bind the 3 Beast Kings. Swish, swish, the horn on the head of the sea serpent under Lu Li's feet glowed. Then a white mist spread out from the horn toward where the webs came from. Something strange happened. When the white mist and the webs made contact, there was a surge in space. Then both the white mist and the webs melted quickly. Clearly, they had cancelled each other out. "Freeze him!" Seeing this, Lu Li didn't even want to use the Rising Dragon skill. He pointed at Shi Jun and shouted at the blue sea lion. The blue sea lion dashed to Shi Jun and breathed out a cold air. Shi Jun didn't have time to dodge and was frozen into an ice sculpture. "Entangle him!" Lu Li then pointed at Shi Jun and shouted at the Octopus King. The Octopus King's tentacles pierced through the air, broke the ice and wrapped around Shi Jun again and again. The tentacles began to contract, trying to strangle Shi Jun, buzzing. Shi Jun's neck glowed again. The eyes of the sea serpent under Lu Li's feet glowed and 2 rays of light pierced into Shi Jun's head. Clearly, this was a soul attack. The sea serpent had 2 skills and its soul attack was not weak. Shi Jun's eyes became misty. The Octopus King continued to contract its tentacles. There came some sounds of bones cracking. Some of Shi Jun's bones were broken. Family Patriarch. Many warriors of the Noble Lord Realm and Eternal Realm rushed over in rage, trying to save Shi Jun. That being said, average warriors of the Noble Lord Realm were no different from ants to the Beast King. With a sweep of the sea serpent's tail, several Eternal Realm warriors were smashed into pieces. Lu Li watched indifferently as the Eternal Realm and Noble Lord Realm warriors were killed. He didn't feel anything. Everyone had to bear the consequences of their wrong decisions. Since Shi Jun had chosen to be Lu Li's enemy, then Shi Jun must be prepared to lose his entire family. Buzzing. Right at that moment, the teleportation formation in the city suddenly glowed. The light shot up to the sky, lighting up many terrified faces. 5 people appeared in the teleportation formation. They didn't stop after they showed up. They flew up at the same time. An old man shouted in anger, "Stop, Lu Li. Do you want to go against the Hades Society? Earth Immortal Realm Warriors?" Hu Lang had just gotten rid of the spiderweb. He used psychic power to check the 5. His expressions changed. Clearly, the 5 were powerful warriors of the Hades Society. The old man who spoke was at the Earth Immortal Realm. An Earth Immortal Realm warrior, the sovereign of the 4, came. Lu Li pretended not to see him. He shouted to the Octopus King, "Eat this human sovereign realm warrior. He will nourish you." Crack, Shi Jun's bones were broken. He couldn't move at all. The octopus king threw him into its mouth and swallowed him. Swish, 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 the faces of countless people changed drastically. Hu Lang sucked in a breath of cold air out of fear. Luli was too bold. He killed Shi Jun right in front of the Hades Society's Earth Immortal Realm warrior. Was he declaring war against the Hades Society? P.S. I have been pulling all-nighters for more than 10 days. I am exhausted. I managed to save 15 chapters. There were still a few days before the release of chapters on the 31st. Keep on saving. I will try to get as many chapters as possible on the 31st. This time I can pay off all my debt. It is so hard to be a human being. It is not easy to survive in this world. Chapter 672. After Shi Jun was eaten, Luli moved his eyes away from the king of octopus. He waved his hand and the jackal flew back to the head of the blue sea lion. The blue sea lion and the king of octopus came back to Luli and stood side by side. Standing on the head of the sea serpent, Luli looked at the deputy master of the Hades Society calmly and said, "Who are you? It doesn't matter whether I am enemies with the Hades Society or not. I just want to know if the Hades Society wants to be enemies with me. Or are you trying to kill me?" Luli's words were hard to pronounce, but those from the Hades Society understood. Luli was threatening the Hades Society with his status as the Grand Master of the Demon-Slaying Hall. How could the Hades Society kill Luli in public? Luli had only killed a family patriarch of a small family affiliated to the Hades Society. Even if he killed a patriarch of the Hades Society, the Hades Society wouldn't dare to kill Luli in public. Yang Tianqing, the deputy master of the Hades Society, was so angry that his beard curled up. Glaring at Luli coldly, he said, "I am Yang Tianqing of the Hades Society. Luli, what is the meaning of this? Why did you bring 3 beast monarchs into the Nether Sect's territory and kill our men? If you don't give us an explanation, the Hades Society will never forgive you." "Never forgive me? What do you plan to do?" Luli glared at Yang Tianqing coldly and said, "I wanted to make trouble for the Hades Society. Recluse Solar Dragon and Zhao Moyang and Li Yang tried to kill us. Zhao Moyang and Li Yang were killed by us. Recluse Solar Dragon fled to your territory alone and claimed that he was from the Hades Society. Now, Shi Jun helped Recluse Solar Dragon escape and tried to kill me. So, it was the Hades Society that ordered Recluse Solar Dragon and the other 2 to kill me?" Yang Tianqing and the others were confused. They didn't know who Zhao Moyang and Li Yang were, but they had heard of Recluse Solar Dragon. After all, he was a man of great fame at the Central Plains as a freak. Luli was putting the blame on the Hades Society in an overbearing manner, which put Yang Tianqing and the others in a difficult position. They could neither beat Luli nor kill him. To offend Luli was to offend a mad dog. The information they received was that 3 beast kings were invading. They didn't know that the 3 beast kings were related to Luli. Why would the beast king listen to Luli? Yang Tianqing and the others were shocked. Shi Jun was killed in front of them. Yang Tianqing and the others felt humiliated, especially under the watchful eyes of so many people. If they did not do anything and word of this spread, the Nether Sect's reputation would be tarnished. Yang Tianqing didn't know how to deal with this matter for a while. He could only say in a strange tone, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't understand what you're saying at all. You killed our men, and if you don't give us an explanation, I can only take you down and have Hall Master Xing judge the matter." "Sure." Luli didn't back down and said, "Go ahead and try. I will kill the 4 of you and then smash my head against the city wall. Do you believe me?" Yang Tianqing and the others were speechless. They had seen scoundrels, but never one like Luli. It was questionable whether Luli could kill 4 human Sovereign Realm warriors. It was also hard to say if Luli dared to smash his head against the city wall. But there was always a chance. Hu Lang and the 3 Beast Kings were equivalent to 4 human Sovereign Realm warriors. With so many powerful warriors here, Luli wouldn't be able to smash his head against the city wall. But what if he blew himself up? Under the watchful eyes of so many, Luli would be hounded to death by the Nether sect. He couldn't clear his name. What would Xing Mu think? What would he do? It was not that the Nether sect had no support at the demon-slaying hall. But compared to the Samsara Palace, the Nether sect was far behind. What was more, the Nether sect had offended many forces over the years. If those forces used this as an excuse, Xing Mu would be enraged and all the forces would attack the Nether sect. By then, the Nether sect would be doomed. Yang Tianqing took a few deep breaths. All of a sudden, he sent a message to Luli. Luli, don't go too far. If we really fall out, you won't have a good time either. We will let Jun go. Leave with the Beast Kings. Yang Tianqing compromised. This was within Luli's expectation. He was so tough and unreasonable because he wanted to force the Nether sect to compromise. There was no reason in the world. Many people would not reason with you. The weaker you were, the more you would be bullied. Luli was here only to kill Recluse Solar Dragon, not to confront the Nether sect. He was in a hurry to go back to the deserted world to save Bai Qiuxue. After some thoughts, Luli said, Brother Yang, come over here. Let's talk over there. Brother Yang? The 4 human sovereign realm warriors of the Nether sect, Hu Lang and the warriors of the Shi family looked at each other, speechless. They didn't know that Yang Tianqing had talked to Luli. Luli's tone had changed and he even called Yang Brother Yang. If I am not satisfied with your terms, I will lead an army to flatten the northern desert and the clouds plains. Yang Tianqing flew toward Luli with a smug look on his face. Luli turned a deaf ear to Yang Tianqing's words. He told the sea serpent to fly away. Hu Lang was worried but Luli waved his hand. Hu Lang didn't go with Yang Tianqing. Luli had flown away to give the Nether sect a way out. Otherwise, the Nether sect's reputation would be tarnished and Yang Tianqing would be embarrassed. The stalemate would continue and Recluse Solar Dragon might run away. Luli was more than 3 miles away from the city. Making sure that no one else could hear him, he stood there and said, Vice Master Yang, you want us to leave? Sure. You just need to capture Recluse Solar Dragon and compensate us for our loss. Recluse Solar Dragon? Compensation? Yang Tianqing's beard was bristling with anger. He said, Luli, don't you think too highly of yourself? You have to understand one thing. You are the one who started this and you killed one of our men. We are already doing Xing Mu a favor by not making trouble for you. You want us to do something for you? Compensation? In your dreams. Fine, fine. Luli waved his hand and said with a smile, Brother Yang, don't be angry. You are not young anymore. Don't let your anger affect your health. Today, I will do you a favor and forget about the compensation. Go and capture Recluse Solar Dragon for me. You can take down a puny human sovereign realm warrior easily. What do you say? No way. Yang Tianqing pulled a long face. He turned his face away and said, Leave now and we will let go of the murder. But if you dare to make a scene here, I will not let you off easily. Do I give you any face? Luli was enraged. He patted the horn of the sea serpent and flew it away. Luli turned around, glared at Yang Tianqing and said, I will do it myself if you don't want to. But don't blame me if I accidentally kill your men or wipe out several cities. Yang Tianqing was trembling with anger. He shouted, Come back. I will get him for you. But you must leave now and wait above the clouds. I will hand him to you in a couple of days. Deal. Luli's mood turned better. He grinned and said, Brother Yang, you are like a donkey. You will not leave unless I whip you. Don't call me Brother Yang. I don't know you that well. Chapter 673. Luli left with the 3 beast kings and the jackal. They swaggered back to the Sea of Clouds. The Nether sect quickly sent out a message that no one was to provoke or attack the Beast Monarch along the way. The Dark Church started to seal off the news, especially that there was a person above the Beast Monarch. Anyone who dared to spread the news would be killed without question. However, this matter had become so big, how could it not be spread out? Although the news did not spread to the common people, it still spread to the big families. The 12 royal families were the first to receive the news. Fortunately, the 12 royal families did not let the news spread. Therefore, the news that the people received was that 3 beast kings had chased a human into the Nether Society's territory. Then, the elites of the Nether Society moved out and chased the 3 beast kings out of the Central Plains. Due to the speed at which the news was blocked, the 3 beast kings did not cause too many casualties. Things calmed down quickly. However, big families would not be able to calm down this matter any time soon because it was related to Luli. More importantly, Luli could control beast kings. For millions of years, countless human ancestors had wanted to study the art of controlling Xian beasts. At that time, the human clan was weak. Strong Xian beasts could be seen everywhere. In the entire divine Great Land, there were countless beast kings. If they could control the beast kings, the human clan's strength would increase greatly. Unfortunately, countless seniors had studied it for a long time, and in the end, they could only control 4th or 5th grade Xian beasts, which was not very meaningful. Many people regretted it for the rest of their lives. Fortunately, Emperor of Heaven Reverse was born. Was there finally someone who could control a beast king? He could even control 3 beast kings with ease. Many people witnessed how Luli controlled the 3 beast kings to kill Shurjun. It could not be fake. She didn't know how Luli did it or if he could control the beast king for a long time. But at least he had done it. Naturally, this caused a sensation. What was more, Luli's identity was sensitive. The 4 forces were troubled. It was not that they were afraid of Luli controlling a group of beast kings to wreak havoc. Luli had such miraculous skills. What if Xing Mu valued him and said that he would protect Luli for the rest of his life or let Luli join the demon-slaying hall? Several days after the incident, the demon-slaying hall showed no reaction. Xing Mu learned about the incident from the demon-slaying hall, but he just smiled and said nothing. In a small seaside town, there was a very unique restaurant. This restaurant was built near the cliff. From the top floor of the restaurant, one could overlook the distant sea. The scenery was very good. At the moment, there were several young masters and young ladies in luxurious robes sitting in the tavern. If Luli were to pass by, he would be able to recognize all of them. Lu Xuan, Luanai, Ji Mengtian, Ji Mengyao, Yang Xian, Dai Feiyu, and Yang Yu were all here. None of them said anything. They were drinking in low spirit. Yang Xian, Lu Xuan and Ji Mengyao looked awful. Dai Feiyu was nervous. Only Lu Xuan and Ji Mengtian remained calm. Bang! Lu Xuan sat for a while and then slammed the table. He stood up in anger and said, "How can this bastard be so lucky? Even 3 human sovereign realm warriors couldn't kill him? He could even control the Beast King? I'm so angry." Ji Mengyao clenched her teeth and said, "He must have used some evil things or learned some sorcery. Otherwise, he would not have been able to control the Beast King. Should we secretly send someone to investigate? As long as we discover that he has an evil spirit and has learned evil arts, even that old turtle Xing Mu won't be able to protect him." "Sister, watch your words." Ji Mengtian's expressions turned cold. She glared at Ji Mengyao. Ji Mengyao touched her nose and sat down. She was so angry that she was rude to Xing Mu in public. If the news got out, the Samsara Palace would be fine, but Ji Mengyao would be in big trouble. Lu Xuan waved his hand and said, "Even if he does have an evil spirit, we won't be able to find it. Who are we going to send? He has human sovereign realm warriors and beast kings with him. Who can get close to him?" Lu Xuan said unhappily, "How about we ask an earth immortal realm warrior to do it? Don't look for evidence. Just ask an Earth Immortal Realm warrior to kill that bastard. Lu Xuan's words intrigued Ji Mengyao, Yang Xian, and Yang Yu. Others might not know, but they did. There were some old freaks living in seclusion at the Great Land. Many of them had offended the 12 royal families, so they had to hide overseas. They were in need of mystical materials. They didn't have the courage to send someone from their own families to kill Luli. It would be troublesome if their families were implicated. Therefore, on several occasions, they had asked powerful warriors that had nothing to do with their families. For example, they asked a human sovereign realm warrior from the Serenity Plains to attack the Clouds Plains, or asked Recluse Solar Dragon and the other two to ambush Luli in the underground palace. What was more, their families wouldn't allow them to send Earth Immortal Realm warriors even if they wanted to. Given their status, they couldn't send Earth Immortal Realm warriors. If they could send an Earth Immortal Realm warrior from outside, Luli wouldn't survive no matter how capable he was. It wouldn't help even if he could control 100 Beast Kings. Human Sovereign Realm warriors and Beast Kings couldn't stand the might of an Earth Immortal Realm warrior. Ha ha! Ji Mengtian and Lu Xuan looked at each other and forced a smile. Lu Xuan didn't say anything. Ji Mengtian stood up and said, "You are too naive. Let's not talk about the cost of asking an Earth Immortal Realm warrior to do it. Let's say we can offer mystical materials and treasures that can tempt an Earth Immortal Realm warrior. Do you think those at the Demon-Slaying Hall are idiots? The Demon-Slaying Hall might not care if we send human Sovereign Realm warriors. But once we ask an Earth Immortal Realm warrior to do it, we will die for sure. We won't be able to escape either." But Lu Xuan and Yang Xian looked at each other. Ji Mengtian and Yang Xian were deep in thought while Lu Xuan, Dai Feiyu and Yang Yu were confused. Seeing that Ji Mengtian wasn't going to explain, Lu Xuan asked, "Brother, I thought the Demon-Slaying Hall didn't care about Luli before. Why would they interfere when we asked an Earth Immortal Realm warrior?" "Because we have crossed the line." Lu Xuan sighed and said, "There is a limit to everything. Why does Grand Master want to protect Luli for 10 years? You don't have to think about the underlying reason. On the surface, Grand Master doesn't want to offend Deputy Master and the 4 forces. But as a matter of fact, he wants to put some pressure on Luli so that he can grow up quickly in 10 years. He is using another way to train Luli indirectly. If he really wants to protect Luli, who can go against his will? Have you forgotten that this happened 600 years ago? 600 years? Lu Xuan and Dai Feiyu looked at each other and trembled. Yang Xian and Ji Mengyao seemed to have understood now. They sat down helplessly. Lu Xuan stood up with his hands clasped behind his back and said, 600 years ago, Grand Master killed 3rd Master and 4 patriarchs of the Demon-Slaying Hall himself. Who dared to say anything back then? Xing Mu is a decisive man. If he has made up his mind, he will not have any scruples. So, on the surface, he seems to have compromised, but he is just trying to sharpen Luli. Sister Mengyao, do you think it is a flawless plan to attack the Clouds Plains with warriors of the Serenity Plains? Do you think the Demon-Slaying Hall doesn't know that we have asked 3 human Sovereign Realm warriors to ambush Luli? You have underestimated the Demon-Slaying Hall. Why don't our family patriarchs get involved when we are fighting against Luli? They didn't even say anything. That is a competition between juniors. It is understandable to send some human Sovereign Realm warriors. But if we go to Earth Immortal Realm warriors, not only the Demon-Slaying Hall, even our families will not allow it. Grand Master Xing will be infuriated. Luli can control Beast Kings now. It is pointless to send more human Sovereign Realm warriors. We cannot ask for Earth Immortal Realm warriors and our families will not allow us to do so. Lu Xuan sighed. He was frustrated. Looking at the sea, he shook his head and said, "We have lost this time and we must admit it." Unless some of us can defeat all the warriors of the human sovereign realm or reach the earth immortal realm, we will have to wait for the 10 years to pass. For the time being, we had better admit defeat. We have to swallow our anger even if we cannot. If we go and make trouble for Luli now, we will only bring disgrace upon ourselves. Chapter 674. Admit defeat? Yang Xian, Lu Xuan and Ji Mengyao looked gloomy. They had been suppressing their anger these days, and they wished they could cut Lu Li into pieces. They had been waiting day and night for the news of Lu Li's death. They hadn't slept well for many nights. Little did they expect that this would be the outcome. Which one of them here wasn't a son or a daughter of a dragon? Which one wasn't a talented girl? They were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They had never been wronged, not to mention suffering. Ji Mengtian, Yang Xian, Lu Xuan and Dai Feiyu were locked up by Lu Li for several months and blasted with thunderbolts. They died, came back to life and died again. Those months were worse than hell. They were finally rescued after several months. Deputy Master tried to kill Lu Li in person but was humiliated by Lu Li and the Grand Master. They were exiled to the Blood Realm. They almost died many times in the Blood Realm. Eventually, thanks to Lu Xuan's plan and Ji Mengtian's breakthrough to the human sovereign realm, they managed to defeat the indigenous people in the Blood Realm and survive. Ji Mengyao and Yang Yu had just been released. Yang Yu was fine, but Ji Mengyao was mentally tortured and almost lost her mind. She was a young lady from a wealthy family, the former #1 young lady of the Central Plains. She was proud and arrogant. How could she be humiliated like this? Everyone had been suppressing their anger. If they didn't let it out, it would become a demon in their hearts. In the end, their cultivation would be affected and their futures would be ruined. It was still 8 years before the 10 years were up. Maybe for those old guys, 8 years was nothing. They could pass by in a blink. But for them, it felt like a long time. They were all young people and the 8 years were precious. If they could not calm down and cultivate during the 8 years, it would affect their achievements for the rest of their lives. Lu Xuan smiled at their expressions and said, "What? You are not convinced? If you are not convinced, you can go on. The Lu family is out. You can do whatever you want. Lu Xuan, time to go back to the city of mystic armor." Lu Xuan walked out in a carefree manner as if he didn't care about Lu Li at all. Lu Xuan didn't have much of an opinion and he always listened to Lu Xuan. Seeing that Lu Xuan was gone, Lu Xuan stomped his feet, cupped his fists to the others, and went after Lu Xuan. "Young Master Xuan is so carefree!" Dai Feiyu exclaimed. Ji Mengtian smiled and said, "If Lu Xuan is that, he would have reached the human sovereign realm a long time ago. He cares about Lu Li's life the most because there is only hatred between us and Lu Li. Not only does Lu Li hate him, but he can also threaten his position." Yang Xian sighed softly and got up to leave. Yang Yu blinked and asked, "Are we really going to let it go just like that? Are we going to endure this for 8.5 years? Lu Xuan Yuan said, "Lu is Xuan. Lu Xian Yu and Xuan Lu Yu and Xuan Yi and Su," said. At the very least, even if they used up all their resources, it would be very difficult to create an Earth Immortal. So, if you want to take revenge, wait 8.5 years. Go back and cultivate hard. Try to break through to the human sovereign realm. Then, you will personally follow the army to the northern desert and the cloud plains." Yang Xian left with Yang Yu, leaving only Ji Mengyao, Ji Mengtian, and Dai Feiyu. Dai Feiyu patted her not-so-full chest, exhaled, and said, "I will go back too. Mengtian, you have broken through to the human sovereign realm. I have to work hard too." Dai Feiyu was gone, but Ji Mengyao couldn't let it go. She stood by the window and looked at the sea in the distance with an awful expression. "Sis," Ji Mengtian walked over to Ji Mengyao and said, "Xing Mu is putting pressure on Lu Li and he is putting pressure on us as well. If we make good use of our inner demons, They can become sharp swords floating above our heads, constantly reminding us to cultivate hard and wipe away our shame. Sister, work hard on your cultivation. In 8.5 years, we will go to the northern desert and exterminate his clan. Alright. Cold light flashed in Ji Mingyao's eyes. She clenched her fists so tight that blue veins popped out. Whoosh, before they left, a man showed up, knelt on the ground and reported, "Young ladies, I heard from the Shilong city that Recluse Solar Dragon was captured by Yang Tiancheng, and he handed him over to Lu Li. Lu Li killed Recluse Solar Dragon in front of the entire city. His body is still hanging on the city wall." Bang! Ji Mingyao couldn't stand it anymore. She smashed a teapot on the ground. Her pretty face was twisted. Ji Mengtian was not happy either. Lu Li killed Recluse Solar Dragon in front of the entire city. His intention was clear: to humiliate them, to get back at them, to shock them, to slap their faces in silence. Lu Li's face appeared in their minds. They looked into the sea in the distance as if they could see Lu Li laughing at them in silence. They stood there in a daze for a while. The scout came back with an order from their father. They were to go back to the Samsara city and stop targeting Lu Li. Ji Mengtian and Ji Mengyao looked at each other and forced a smile. Lu Xuan and Yang Xian must have received orders from their families. Since Lu Li could control beast kings, the families would not allow them to mess around outside. Lu Li did execute Recluse Solar Dragon in public at the Shilong city, and he did it himself. Recluse Solar Dragon was barely breathing when he was captured. Yang Tiancheng was humiliated by Lu Li, which ruined the reputation of the Hades society. It was kind of Lu Li to spare Recluse Solar Dragon's life. After Recluse Solar Dragon was killed, Lu Li rode the sea serpent back to the Cloud Sea. He kept his promise and didn't make more trouble. It would take at least half a month to fly back to the Island of Tranquility. Lu Li had no other choice. He didn't dare to take the teleportation formation for fear that the one at the Island of Tranquility would be broken when he teleported to the City of Waters. He would have to hurry on. He was afraid that Little White would come to him. Therefore, he hoped to go back the way he came so that he could meet Little White if it did. He was not afraid of danger. Unless the four families were not afraid of Xing Mu's revenge, they would not come to him again. After this incident, Ji Mengtian and the others would be called back to their families as well. Lu Li was holding back his anger. If Ji Mengtian and the others showed up now, he would not show mercy. He was rational enough to not go to Ji Mengtian and Lu Xuan for revenge. Instead, he killed Recluse Solar Dragon in public just to vent his anger. Lu Li didn't let the three beast kings go in case they were in danger at sea. He decided to let the three beast kings go back to the Island of Tranquility. He didn't plan to take the beast kings to the Clouds Plains or the deserted world because they were not his spiritual beasts. When he was here, the beast kings could be suppressed. But as soon as he left, there would be riots. It was too dangerous. Young Master Li, cultivate for a while. Seeing that Lu Li had been looking around, Hu Lang said with a smile, "Cultivate. When we get back, you can almost reach the Noble Lord realm. You don't have to worry about anything else. Leave it to me. I'll pay attention to Little White along the way." "Alright." Chapter 675. Time flew by when Lu Li was cultivating. Soon, 17 days had passed. Since Hu Lang was in charge of everything along the way, Lu Li only woke up twice, ate something and slept for a couple of hours. Along the way, Hu Lang used psychic power to check the surroundings but to no avail. Little White was nowhere to be found. Lu Li could only place his hope on the Island of Tranquility. The patriarch of the Gu family was keeping an eye on Little White. Maybe the patriarch would bring Little White back to the Island of Tranquility to wait. The Island of Tranquility was right ahead. Lu Li was worried. Even though Little White was not his spiritual beast, it enjoyed a high status in his heart, just like his brother. Little White was intelligent. To Luli, it was no different from a human being. The island ahead was getting bigger. Hu Lang checked with psychic power first. He nodded and said, "The teleportation formation at the Island of Tranquility has been repaired. There are many warriors of the Wei family and a human sovereign realm warrior. No, there are 3. Chu Qing and He and I are here." "Where is Little White?" Luli didn't care about the Wei family warriors or Chu Qing. Little White was the only thing he cared about. Hu Lang checked again. The Island of Tranquility was large. He wanted to search the entire area. Luli's mind was weighed down. Hu Lang kept on checking. Little White was not in the Island of Tranquility. Hu Lang shouted to the sea serpent under his feet, "Hurry up!" The sea serpent had wings. It spread its wings and whooshed on like a black shooting star. The king of octopus and the blue sea lion were right behind it. Whoosh, 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 many warriors flew up from the Island of Tranquility. At the front stood a middle-aged human sovereign realm warrior. The others were looking at the 3 beast kings coming closer nervously. The other 2 human sovereign realm warriors had restrained their chi and energy. They were Chu Qing and He and I, human sovereign realm warriors working for Lu Ling. The middle-aged human sovereign realm warrior was not worried. He bowed with a smile and said, "Young Master Lu, I am Wei Ziong." "Well, young Master Lu, can you let the Beast Kings stop outside the island? After all, there are many civilians on the island." Chu Qing and He and I must have known that Luli was out of danger. They just bowed and said, "State Counselor." Luli paid no attention to Wei Ziong and Chu Qing. He used psychic power to check the city. Soon, his expressions changed. He didn't see any patriarch of the Gu family or Little White in the city. Seeing that the teleportation portal in the city had been repaired, he waved his hand at the 3 beast kings and said, "You guys can go back. We don't need you here anymore. Don't cause trouble." The 3 beast kings were intelligent. Hearing Lu Li's words, they shouted in excitement. Then, they flew toward the north and disappeared into the sea. Lu Li took out his fate wheel and stood in midair. He nodded to Chu Qing and Lu Li before he cupped his fists in front of his chest and said to the middle-aged human sovereign realm warrior, "Lord Wei, nice to meet you." "Sir Wei, did the people in your family see a small white beast that was only the size of a palm?" "There was also one of my subordinates, the 4th elder of the Gu family. By the way, are Gu Min, the 3rd young master of the Gu family, not here either?" Wei Ziong frowned and said with pity, "Gu Min and the others are dead. I have to ask about your beast." Wei Ziong waved to a noble Lord Realm warrior who went to investigate at once. Lu Li and Hu Lang looked at each other and said coldly, "Gu Min and the others were killed by Recluse Solar Dragon?" "I think so." Wei Ziong nodded and said, "The teleportation formation here was destroyed and all the experts in the city were killed. Gu Min and the others were on the island in the underground palace at that time. More than 1,000 soldiers from our family were all killed." "Cruel and merciless," Lu Li shouted, clenching his teeth. Recluse Solar Dragon and the other 2 were dead. Lu Xuan, Ji Mengtian and the others had to bear the blame. After some small talk, the noble Lord Realm warrior flew up. He cupped his fists to Lu Li and said, "I have asked the surviving warriors on the island and the scouts of our family. They didn't see young Master Lu's beast come back. Neither did the 4th patriarch of the Gu family." "Okay." Lu Li nodded and turned to Hu Lang, who had just finished searching the island. Hu Lang shook his head to indicate that Lu Li was not on the island. "Is there still a thunderstorm in the west?" Lu Li asked Wei Ziong. If the thunderstorm was still there, maybe Little White was still refining its body in the thunderstorm. "It has stopped." Wei Ziong was clear about this matter. He explained, "The thunderstorm stopped more than 10 days ago. Hu Lang, Chu Qing, and Huani, let's go and look for it." Lu Li wanted to go to the original area of the thunderstorm. What if the 4th patriarch of the Gu family was nearby with Little White? Wei Ziyang could tell that Little White was important to Lu Li. He waved his hand and said, "Mobilize warriors in the city to search around and find a palm-sized white beast for young Master Lu." Lu Li nodded gratefully. He flew to the west with Hu Lang, Chu Qing, and Huani. Lu Li could tell that Wei Ziyang wanted to have a deep talk with him, but Lu Li was not in the mood. Lu Li and Hu Lang quickly flew to the spot where the thunderstorm happened. They searched an area with a radius of more than 300 miles. The result was disappointing. Fourth patriarch of the Gu family was nowhere to be found, and Little White was nowhere to be found. Lu Li and the other three expanded their search to an area with a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. They searched for an entire day and finally returned to the Nine Serenities city at nightfall, feeling dejected. Back in the city, there was still no news. Fourth patriarch of the Gu family and Little White were missing or killed or eaten by Xian beasts in the sea. Young Master Li, don't worry. Little White is strong in defense. We were still in the thunderstorm. Solar Dragon cannot kill Little White. Hu Lang comforted Lu Li. Then he added, maybe fourth patriarch of the Gu family sensed something was wrong and flew back to the Clouds Plains with Little White. Lu Li's eyes glowed. The teleportation formation back to the Clouds Plains had been repaired. They could go back to the Clouds Plains right away. If Little White was not there, then they would have to send more people over to search. Lu Li forced himself to pull himself together and began to discuss business with Wei Ziyang. Recounting everything that had happened on the island, Yang Kai also handed Wei Ziyang the space ring that Wei Yuan had given him and said, "This is the last thing Wei Yuan gave me. Wei Yuan died for me, so I feel very guilty. Lord Wei, I hope you can take care of his family. In the future, I will find some time to visit family patriarch Wei and express my gratitude." Wei Ziyang nodded with sorrow and said, "Young Master Lu, don't worry. Family patriarch told me to apologize before I came. After all, you were ambushed on our territory. We will report this to the great Buddhist temple and ask them to seek justice." Lu Li didn't expect justice. This was a royal family and the other four forces. Without any proof, what could the great Buddhist temple say? Lu Li was worried about Little White and was in a hurry to go back. He told Wei Ziyang to help him find Little White and promised that he would reward him handsomely if he could find Little White. Lu Li didn't even have time to eat with Wei Ziyang. He took the teleportation formation and left. The Wei family attached great importance to the Island of Tranquility. Wei Yuan crushed a jade talisman to inform the Wei family. An Earth Immortal Realm warrior of the Wei family who knew teleportation came over at once. It only took them 4 or 5 days to arrive at the Island of Tranquility. Otherwise, the teleportation formation wouldn't have been repaired so quickly. Lu Li and the others were teleported to a big city by the sea at the Clouds Plains, the auspicious Cloud City. The distance between the two cities was far. It took them half a day to teleport. Buzzing, when Lu Li and the others arrived at the teleportation formation, the first person they saw was Lu Ling. Lu Ling was in a white dress. She was as pretty as a lily. When she saw Lu Li, she exhaled and smiled. Chapter 676. Lu Ling's voice was not loud and her tone was easygoing. It was as if she and her brother were chatting about trivial matters. Somehow, Lu Li felt a lump in his throat. He knew that Lu Ling was not lying. If something were to happen to him, Lu Ling would rush to the Central Plains with all the powerful warriors. They would try their best to kill as many disciples of the four families as possible, like moths darting into a flame. In the end, they would wither and die. Lu Ling was a determined girl. She rarely shed tears since she was a kid. She didn't cry even when Di, who almost had to drag her broken leg back from the back of the mountain. She would not speak her mind easily. But once she did, she would do everything she could to fulfill her promise, even at the cost of her life. "Sister, I am sorry to make you worry." Lu Li walked over and grabbed her hands. She nodded without saying anything. She led Lu Li into a castle and the others followed them. Inside the castle, Lu Li asked about Little White at once. Lu Ling frowned. She called someone over and asked him to investigate. She told Lu Li to take it easy and told him everything that had happened. Lu Li explained everything in detail, including the fact that he had awakened a new bloodline skill and could control beast kings. Well, this is a blessing in disguise. This bloodline skill is powerful. It can kill human sovereign realm warriors? Lu Ling nodded again. She didn't ask more questions. After a pause, she snorted and said, Lu Xuan, Lu and I Ji Mengtian, Ji Mengyao, Yang Xian, Dai Feiyu. They must have something to do with this ambush. Let's remember this. We will go and kill them one by one later. It's been hard on you this time. Lu Ling patted Lu Li's face and continued, You have done a good job. I think the Clouds Plains, Serenity Plains and the Northern Desert will be peaceful. Before the 10 years are up, nobody will dare to make trouble. We can trade with the great Buddhist temple and get a large amount of mystical materials. Together with the Inferno, we can have 1 or 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors in 8 years. Okay. Lu Li nodded. The Inferno could help them learn profound meanings quickly, and the great Buddhist temple could trade some mystical materials they lacked. Everything was ready. It was up to the human sovereign realm warriors' luck. If they were lucky, they might have a chance to reach the Earth Immortal Realm. Oh right. Lu Li took out a scroll of ancient beast skin, handed it to Lu Ling and said, Sis, this is an ancient secret skill. It can be used to make a very mysterious walking puppet. Once these puppets are refined, their combat power will not be inferior to that of a human sovereign. Good stuff. Lu Ling took it over and read it carefully. Lu Li looked at her in surprise and asked, Sis, you know the ancient language? Lu Ling smiled gently and said, I know a lot. Lu Li pursed his lips. Suddenly, he felt sorry for Lu Ling. She was under much more pressure than he was. She must be racking her brains for what would happen 10 years later. Learning the ancient language was probably to find a way to break out of this predicament from ancient secret techniques and documents. An hour later, a human sovereign walked in and reported, Saint, we have sent people to investigate in the nearby cities. They did not find any trace of Little White, nor did they find any news about the 4th elder of the Gu clan. Lu Li's heart was weighed down. He looked anxious. Lu Ling patted the back of Lu Li's hand and said, You are a grown-up now. You should know something. Sometimes it is useless to be impatient. Impatience will only make the situation worse. Whitey's defense was so strong, and its speed was so abnormal. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to kill it, nor would they be able to catch it. So, it doesn't matter if it is lost for now. We can find it. I will take care of it. Lu Ling waved to the human sovereign realm warrior and said, Send a message. Send scouts to the Island of Tranquility. At the same time, send a message to the Central Plains. Send people to the Clouds Plains and the Serenity Plains as well. Later, get someone to draw a portrait of Little White. We must find Little White. Lu Li knew very well that it was pointless for him to look for Little White alone. It would be more professional to leave it to the scouts. Since Lu Ling had given the order, many people would be mobilized to search all over the world. If Little White was still alive, it wouldn't take long for it to be found. Lu Li said, If you find Little White, don't do anything rash. Let me know at once. I am afraid that Little White might attack the scouts. Little White would only be intimate with a small number of people. Strangers would be attacked by Little White if they approached it. Lu Li put aside the matter of Little White after his subordinates went to make arrangements. He asked, Sis, how is the Serenity Plains? It's okay. Lu Ling explained, most of the regions are under control. But many surviving forces of major families have escaped. They are lurking around and wreaking havoc. It will take another half a year to pacify the Clouds Plains. That was normal. It took a long time to pacify the Clouds Plains when Tu and I was the emperor. If Lu Ling were the emperor, It would take at least a year to pacify the Cloud's plains. Luli didn't want to worry about the big picture. He asked another question. What about the deserted world, the Inferno and the northern desert? They are okay. Lu Ling nodded but said nothing more. Luli was relieved. He thought about it and said, I will wait here for a couple of days. If there is no news of Little White, I will go back to the deserted world and save Qiushue. Okay. Lu Ling said, I will not go back for now. The Serenity Plains is not settled yet. Some islands in the ocean need to be cleared. Also, I need to make some arrangements. Many scouts from the Central Plains have snuck into the Clouds Plains and the Serenity Plains. I need to take care of them. Thank you, sister. Luli sighed. Lu Ling was shouldering all the responsibilities of the 2 continents and the northern desert. Madame Yen was having a hard time managing the northern desert. Lu Ling must be exhausted. Not at all. Lu Ling smiled. Her eyes were filled with melancholy. She sighed and said, It is a pity that there is no news of my father. You have made such a scene at the Central Plains. My father should have been informed by now. Is he not at the Central Plains? Father? Luli frowned. His father was elusive. After he came out from the ice abyss, he didn't even see his son and daughter. Where did he go? What was he doing? Lu Ling gave an order. Tens of thousands of warriors were mobilized. More than 10,000 were teleported to the Island of Tranquility, and another 10,000 went to the Clouds Sea to search for Little White. At the Island of Tranquility, the Wei family mobilized many warriors to join the search. So many people were just looking for a small beast, which confused many civilians who were not in the know. 5 days later, there was still no news. Luli could not sit still any longer. He could wait at the cloud-shining city or the deserted world. He decided to leave the matter to Lu Ling and went back to the deserted world by teleportation formation. In the snow mountain of dragons, that pretty girl had been frozen for a long time. Luli couldn't wait to save her. Chapter 677. Back at the deserted world, Luli felt quite comfortable smelling the air. Before he knew it, he had already regarded the deserted world as his home, his base camp. Maybe it was because everyone here was his. This was a paradise where he didn't have to worry about open and covert attacks from the outside. This must be a comfortable place to live. He teleported to the snow mountain of dragons without stopping. He didn't go to the Inferno or gather anyone. However, when he returned, Yi Cha, Mingyu, and Lu Feishu all came. Meng Ji and Chiker had been guarding the snow mountain of dragons with an army. Not even a mosquito could fly in. Bai Xiaoshuang came back with Lu Feishu when she heard that Luli was back. Luli didn't tell them about his experience. He just gave them a brief explanation that the Serenity Plains had been conquered by Lu Ling. It was peaceful outside and he had bought the elixirs to save Bai Qiushue by chance. Bai Xiaoshuang burst into tears of joy and urged Luli to help Bai Qiushue. Luli didn't rush. He asked Yi Cha to invite the family patriarch and patriarchs of the Shenong race. The abbot of the great Buddhist temple said that Bai Qiushue could be cured as long as the 3 elixirs were ground into powder and fed to her. At worst, she would have to sleep for months or half a year because she was too weak. Luli could not afford to be careless. He had to ask some pharmacists to stay here. He didn't want anything to go wrong. In less than half a day, the family patriarch and 3 patriarchs of the Shenong race arrived. Luli told Meng Ji and Yi Cha to stay on guard and kill anyone that came close. Then, Luli, the family patriarch of the Shenong race, Bai Xiaoshuang, and Chiker went into the ice room. He told them about Bai Qiushue. The family patriarch of the Shenong race and the 3 patriarchs discussed for a while and came up with a plan. Luli thought it was a good idea. He gave the Bodhi fruit and the other 2 elixirs to the 3 patriarchs and began to make the juice. The family patriarch of the Shenong race did it himself for fear that the elixirs would be ruined. Luli was still watching. One Bodhi fruit would only appear every hundreds of years. If it was ruined, the family patriarch of the Shenong race would be killed by Luli. After an hour, the 3 elixirs were turned into a bowl of juice with a pleasant smell. The family patriarch of the Shenong race carried it into the ice room carefully. The spell formation in the ice room had stopped gathering the cold air. The patriarch of the Shenong tribe was breaking the ice around Bai Qiushue's body bit by bit. Luli, Bai Qiushue, and Chiker stood on the side, holding their breaths and keeping their mouths shut. They were afraid that any noise would disturb the family patriarch of the Shenong race. The ice was broken. Bai Qiushue's pale face was exposed to Luli and the others. She could barely breathe. Her body was as hard as a corpse. The Bayat family by Bayat. By Li and Chen, the family the patriarchs the Bai and started. After Bai Bayat Li Bai she. Bai was still. But Bai was. She was. Bai Li. The family patriarch of the Shenong race took the juice and fed it to Bai Qiushu. The longer the juice was stored, the more effective it would be. Even though the family patriarch of the Shenong race wanted to give Bai Qiushu as much as possible, he had to feed her the juice first. He fed her the juice and some warm water. The family patriarch of the Shenong race even poured the juice into her mouth. The patriarchs continued to feed Bai Qiushu with life energy. The family patriarch of the Shenong race checked her pulse and monitored her condition. Time moved on. There was no more cold air coming out from the ice room. But Luli was sweating. Bai Xiaoshuang grabbed Luli's arm nervously. She bit her lips so hard that they almost bled. The time for 3 incense sticks to burn, an hour. The 3 patriarchs were still feeding Bai Qiushu with life energy. Bai Qiushu was getting better and she could breathe again. Luli and Bai Xiaoshuang were trembling with excitement. Bai Xiaoshuang looked at Luli and said in a low voice, "She is coming back to life. I think my sister is coming back to life." Tears ran down from Bai Xiaoshuang's eyes. Her hands were turning blue and she was trembling. Luli smiled and pulled Bai Xiaoshuang into his arms. Bai Xiaoshuang put her arms around Luli's waist without hesitation and stared at Bai Qiushu. 2 hours later, the 3 patriarchs stopped feeding Bai Qiushu with life energy. They stood up, but they were trembling. They seemed to have aged 10 years. Chiker, take the 3 patriarchs to rest. What mystical materials do you need for them? Luli waved to Chiker. Chiker asked 2 people to help the 3 patriarchs leave. The family patriarch of the Shenong race, who had been checking on Bai Qiushu on the ice bed, opened his eyes. He stood up, cupped his fists to Luli and said, "Saint Lord, Lady Qiushu is stable now. The toxins in her body are being dissolved. In a couple of days, at most, all the toxins will be gone. But Lady Qiushu has been frozen for years. Many of her bodily functions are damaged. She needs time to recover. I think she will wake up in at least 3 months. She will have to rest for another half a year." "Thank you, Family Patriarch Ding." Luli bowed and so did Bai Xiaoshuang. They both exhaled. The family patriarch of the Shenong race would not joke about this. It seemed that Bai Qiushu was fine now. Under the instruction of Ding Gue, the family patriarch of the Shenong race, Luli carried Bai Qiushu and moved her from the ice room to the castle nearby. He put her on the bed in Bai Xiaoshuang's room. Ding Gue and the 3 patriarchs lived nearby. Luli and Bai Xiaoshuang had been waiting in the room. Ding Gue would come in every couple of hours to check on Bai Qiushu. He didn't feed Bai Qiushu with life energy or elixirs anymore. Bai Qiushu was weak now. Many of her organs were damaged. If she were to be fed with nourishing elixirs, she would have problems. Her body could not take it. 5 days had passed, but Luli felt 5 years had passed. He had even forgotten about Little White. Luli was relieved when Ding Gue made sure that all the toxins in Bai Qiushu's body had been dissolved, and she was recovering. Bai Qiushue's breathing gradually returned to that of a normal patient. She didn't look so bad anymore. Lu Li took a closer look. Blood was circulating in Bai Qiushue's body. She was recovering. He was sure that Bai Qiushue was fine now. It was only a matter of time before she woke up. Another 5 days later, Bai Qiushue's condition was stabilized. Lu Li asked Bai Xiaoshuang to take care of her while he went out to ask about the outside world. The news from the Clouds Plains disappointed Lu Li. Little White was nowhere to be found. There was no clue. It was as if Little White and fourth patriarch of the Gu family had vanished into thin air. Lu Li could not do anything even if he was anxious. He had to wait. He began to cultivate. When the 10 years were up, the armies of the 4 forces would come like a pack of wolves. This matter was hanging over Lu Li's head like a sharp sword. He must seize all the time to cultivate. 3 days later, Yi Cha suddenly snuck into Lu Li's room and woke him up from his cultivation. He brought an urgent message. Something happened at the Inferno. There was a mysterious, powerful warrior in the Lake of Fire. Many scouts were killed or injured. P.S. The outbreak began at midnight on the 31st. Everyone was waiting for one more day. Chapter 678. The last thing Lu Li wanted to hear was that something had happened. He didn't want to get involved in anything. He just wanted to cultivate in peace and wait for Bai Qiushue to wake up so that she could see him as soon as possible. He wanted to spend time with her and tell her how much he missed her and how guilty he was. However, Lu Li could not turn his back on the Inferno. The Inferno was important to Lu Li and Lu Ling. There were many mystical materials in the Inferno. More importantly, they could learn profound meanings faster. The Inferno was a land of treasures. Nothing could go wrong. Yi Cha had just received the news. He didn't have time to investigate, so he didn't know much. Lu Li asked some questions and went in to check on Bai Qiushue. He told Ding Gui to keep an eye on her and asked Bai Xiaoshuang to stay and take care of her. At the same time, Lu Li told Meng Ji and Qi Ke to guard the place. If anything happened to Bai Qiushue, they wouldn't have to come back to him. When everything was settled, Lu Li sent someone to inform Lu Ling that there was not a single human sovereign realm warrior in the deserted world and the Inferno. All of them were guarding and clearing out beasts. What if there was a beast king like the Fire Leopard King and Lu Li could not defeat it? Let's go. Lu Li teleported away with Yi Cha. He wanted to find out what was going on. They teleported back and forth. In less than an hour, they had arrived at the Inferno. The base camp in the Inferno was crowded with at least 10,000 people. Before he left, Lu Li said that people could only come in and not leave to prevent information from leaking out. Yi Cha was in charge of the intelligence work. Many of them were in seclusion, but there were also many who were resting. Seeing Lu Li come in, they gathered around. Ming Yu and Lu Feishue had come back a while ago. Good, Lu Li took a look. Many familiar people had made breakthroughs in their realms. Talented disciples of many families were progressing at a rapid speed. The Xian crystals he spent every month were not wasted. Go! Lu Li waved his hand and walked into the valley with Ming Yu and Lu Feishue. On their way, Lu Li asked, "What is going on? How many have died?" 15. Ming Yu explained, "To the west of the Fire Qilance territory is a lake of fire. The lake is filled with lava and there are many elixirs. Some time ago, he had arranged for 5 scouts to investigate, but who knew that all 5 of their jade life talismans had shattered? On the day you came back, I sent another 5 scouts with noble Lord Realm warriors leading the teams. Still, they were wiped out. That is why I came back in a hurry from the Snow Mountain of Dragons. I sent another 5 scouts over the past couple of days. One of them was a new noble Lord Realm warrior of the Cyan Phoenix race. But he died as well." Lu Li turned to Yi Cha and saw a glint of sorrow in his eyes. Lu Li asked, "Who is it?" "Yiru, a good kid. He has just reached the noble lord realm not long ago. Yicha said in pain. Over the years, the Cyan Phoenix race had some noble lord realm warriors. However, there were less than 20 of them. The death of any one of them would make Yicha feel heartbroken. Luli didn't know what to say. He patted Yicha's shoulder and said to Mingyu, 15 died. Didn't you find anything? Is it a beast emperor? That's the problem. Mingyu and Lu Feishua looked at each other, confused. Lu Feishua explained, before Yi Ru left, we gave him 3 warning jade talismans. If it was a beast emperor, he would crush one. If it was a monster, he would crush the second one. If it was a human, he would crush the third one. But both the second and third jade talismans were broken. What? Luli and Yicha's eyes were wide open. They thought they had heard it wrong. Mingyu nodded and took out 3 jade talismans. 2 of them were broken. Luli asked in surprise, did Yi Ru make a mistake? Are there other humans in the inferno apart from our people? The entrance had been controlled by Luli's people. If outsiders could sneak in, Mingyu and Yicha could go home and farm. What was more, even though Yi Ru had just reached the noble lord realm, the Cyan Phoenix race was fast. Average noble lord realm warriors would not be able to kill them. Mingyu said with a frown, your aunt and I don't know what is going on. That is why we asked clan leader Yi and you to come in and discuss. Okay. Don't send people to their death. Yicha and I will go to the base camp at the territory of the Fire Qilin. Luli waved his hand and said, stay here. If my sister sends human sovereign realm warriors over, tell them to meet up with me directly. Lu Feishua stopped Luli and said, don't go. Be careful. Wait here. What can happen? Luli smiled confidently and said, your nephew can even kill human sovereign realm warriors. What's more, is there a difference between waiting here and waiting there? Don't worry. I will not go to the Fire Lake unless a human sovereign realm warrior comes. A formation of destruction was built at the Fire Qilin's territory. Lu Feishua thought it was the same to stay here. Since Luli had said so, she didn't try to stop him. Lu Ling must have learned the news and she would send human sovereign realm warriors over soon. Luli and Yicha left the valley quickly and flew toward the territory of the Fire Qilin. There was a base camp there as well with some warriors and armies living there. Luli was worried that some powerful warriors or monsters would come out from the Fire Lake to attack the base camp. That was why he went to check it out first. Luli had the Rising Dragon skill. He was not sure about the specific power, but he was sure he could kill average human sovereign realm warriors easily. Coupled with the might of dragon, he could deter average beast kings. Naturally, Luli was emboldened. There was a formation of destruction over there, so it was safe. After flying for a few hours, the 2 of them arrived at the base camp. Inside the mountains, there was still a thick layer of mist, which meant that the formation of illusion was still there. Luli and Yicha were relieved. Buzzing. A mountain glowed. Kumang came out with more than a dozen warriors to welcome Luli. Luli didn't ask any questions. He waved his hand and led them into the mountain. In the middle of the mountain was a hall. It was tidy after some decorations. There was a group of people in the hall, mostly scouts. They were called back and were not allowed to go out and explore. Luli asked some questions, but they didn't have much information. They only said that it was safe outside the Fire Lake. But in the Fire Lake, one could die. Mingyu had given an order not to go into the Fire Lake. Naturally, the scouts could not get any information. Go and hide outside the Fire Lake. Luli waved his hand and said, come back and report as soon as anything happens in the Fire Lake. The scouts went out. Luli decided not to take the risk. He would wait for Lu Ling to send human sovereign realm warriors in. 3 days later, nothing happened at the Fire Lake. The human sovereign realm warriors sent by Lu Ling had arrived. One was God of Meng and the other was Yanjun, the master of the Yama Palace at the Serenity Plains, a warrior at the middle stage of the human sovereign realm. God of Meng said, Saint Lord, the other human sovereign realm warriors are not nearby, so Lady Ling only sent us here. She wants me to tell you that if you feel danger, don't force yourself. Go back to the base camp or close the inferno for now until she has conquered the Serenity Plains. Okay. Lu Li nodded. God of Meng's defense was impressive, and Yanzhen was a warrior at the middle stage of the human sovereign realm. Together with Lu Li, even if they encountered powerful human sovereign realm warriors or monsters, they could at least retreat. Chapter 679. The Lake of Fire was large, with a radius of more than 3,000 miles. Lava was flowing in from many rivers from all directions. Therefore, the temperature of the Lake of Fire was high. Lu Li and the others didn't dare to fly too low in case they would be burnt. The inferno was strange. There were fish in the boiling lava. It was said that there were some elixirs with properties of fire at the bottom of the lava. Lu Li and the other two were not in the mood to check if there were elixirs at the bottom of the lake. They flew forward carefully. According to the information, there was an island in the center of the lake with a huge volcano on it. The more than a dozen warriors that died were killed in the volcano. They flew for an hour and arrived at the center of the lake. They saw an island with a towering volcano. From the distance, they could see the black smoke rising from the volcano. The four of them didn't go to the island rashly. Instead, they circled around the island and used psychic power to check if there were any monsters lurking around. The island was very safe. There were no living creatures, and there were no restrictions that could be detected. God of Meng and Lu Li looked at each other. God of Meng and Yi Cha flew to the island first and approached the crater of the volcano. At the crater, the four of them used psychic power to check inside. However, the crater was so deep that they couldn't find anything. Let's go in. Lu Li made a gesture. They all unsheathed their weapons. God of Meng took out a huge saber and a holy-grade armor appeared over his body. He was armed to the teeth, ready to risk his life. God of Meng was at the forefront. He was the strongest in defense, and he was usually used as a meat shield. Yi Cha was the second, Lu Li was the third, and Yanzhen was the last. The volcano was active with black smoke rising from it. They didn't know when it had erupted recently. The temperature inside was so high that they were drenched in sweat as soon as they went in. They were in excruciating pain. Fortunately, they were all powerful warriors, so they could stand the heat. They flew down slowly and kept checking with psychic power. Even the slightest movement could not be hidden from the four of them. Everything is fine. At the bottom of the volcano, they could see the tumbling lava. But nothing was out of the ordinary. The more than a dozen scouts died and they didn't find any remains. This is strange. Lu Li looked at the tumbling lava with a frown. There was no cave or inhibition formation at the bottom of the volcano. Nothing was out of the ordinary. God of Meng and the others were confused as well. Yi Cha was still looking around. The Cyan Phoenix race was the best scout of the Great Land. Not even an Earth Immortal Realm warrior could hide from Yi Cha. However, after a while, Yi Cha shook his head and said, "Nothing. There is nothing wrong here. Let's go." Lu Li waved his hand. Since Yi Cha could not tell the problem, then there must be no problem. The temperature was so high that even Lu Li could not stand it. Just as everyone was about to fly up, Yi Jie's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light, and she suddenly looked down. God of Meng and the others were on high alert as well. God of Meng and Yanzhen stood behind Lu Li and stared at the lava. Finally, Lu Li realized something was wrong. He felt a trace of coldness, which was like the cold wind in spring. It went straight into his heart, making him shiver. The temperature here was so high, but there was a chill that made Lu Li shiver. How horrifying would the monster be? They floated above the lava and checked with psychic power. Soon Yi Cha, God of Meng and Yanzhen were stunned. Lu Li was just as shocked when he saw what was flying out from the lava. Because there was a person under the magma, a woman, a peerlessly beautiful girl. Gudong, Gudong, the magma surged, and a person slowly emerged from the magma. There was a thin light barrier around her, so the magma could not penetrate it, and naturally could not burn her skin. This was a very beautiful and sexy girl. Her blue-black hair was casually tied up, and she wore a dark blue soft armor with golden edges. A large part of her chest was exposed. At this moment, when everyone looked down from above, they could see a field of white, towering, and full breasts. Her waist was extremely slender, and there was a bronze belt around her waist. In the center of the belt was a red gem. She was wearing a strange short skirt that looked like it was woven from many furry tails. The skirt was so short that it could only cover her perky buttocks, revealing her round and fair thighs. She was wearing a pair of black boots. Her calves were slim and long, pleasing to the eye. She had 2 beautiful sabers in her hands. The sabers were long and narrow, giving off a cold glare. There were mysterious patterns on the sabers. One look and anyone could tell that the sabers were not of low levels. She had a black cloak on her back, giving her an awe-inspiring air, like a heroine. She had a typical oval face with delicate features. Her nose was small and delicate, giving her a delicate look. Her eyes were big and bright, but there was a glint of coldness in them. One look at her eyes would make people feel they had fallen into an icehouse, freezing them from head to toe. If a girl's looks were to be measured on a scale of 100, Lu Ling would score 100 out of 100. This young girl was at least 98 out of 100. She was even better than Lu Ling in some aspect. Human sovereign realm. None of them looked at the girl's towering breasts, nor at her round and beautiful thighs. None of them cared about her looks. What they did care about was the fear in their hearts. The girl was young, only 17 or 18 years old, but she was at the human sovereign realm. More importantly, the 4 of them felt she was dangerous. It was as if she was not a pretty girl, but a ferocious beast king. Even though the girl was standing on the ground and the 4 of them were floating above, the girl gave them a feeling of superiority. It was as if the girl had come down from heaven, a goddess, and they were nothing but ordinary people. Jaligiga Jade? The girl moved her lips and uttered some strange words. Yanjun could not understand. He blinked in confusion. Lu Li, god of Meng, and Yi Cha's pupils contracted in fear. Because this person spoke in the ancient language, they could all understand it. The girl's exact words were, "Are you looking for me?" Yi Ru crushed 2 jade talismans. He didn't send the wrong message. He did run into a human with hands and feet, just like Lu Li and the others. But how could there be a human in the inferno? A girl with such terrifying talent and strength? A girl that spoke the ancient language? The ancient language was used in the ancient times. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, it had been changed to the current language. Unless the girl was from an ancient race that escaped into a small world and hadn't been in contact with the outside for hundreds of thousands of years. Anyways, the enemy had shown up. Lu Li and the others were a bit relieved. The enemy was a human, not a monster, not a demon. At least, it would be easier to deal with. Lu Li asked in the ancient language, "Yes, we are looking for you. Who are you? Where are you from? Why did you kill our people?" Chapter 680. Native god of Meng, Yi Cha and Lu Li felt humiliated. After all, they had 2 human sovereign realm warriors. Lu Li was a disciple of the Lu family of the Central Plains. He was born in a prestigious family. How could he be called a bumpkin? All of them had holy grade armors, and Lu Li had a quasi-relic. How could they be mocked as natives? However, it was no longer important whether he was a native or not. What was important was that this sexy girl was going to kill someone. She was emitting a horrifying murderous intent. Her murderous intent didn't seem to be fake. It was even stronger than Lu Li's. It seemed the girl's hands were stained with blood. Ha! God of Meng's body glowed in a dark golden color. He had activated the special skill of the Titan race. He swung his saber and hacked at the girl. God of Meng didn't use force field because his opponent was at the human sovereign realm as well. If his opponent used force field, it would cancel each other out. It would be meaningless. An ant wants to shake the heavens? The girl smiled with contempt. A blue glow flashed in her eyes and disappeared into God of Meng's eyes. She moved like a ghost. Her two sabers slid across the air and cut at God of Meng's saber horizontally. Buzz! The moment the two sabers collided with God of Meng's huge saber, the two beautiful sabers suddenly glowed. A surge of horrifying energy spread out from the sabers. Countless mysterious runes glowed on the sabers. It was a beautiful sight. Demigod artifact. Not good. Luli turned pale with fright. He was all too familiar with the energy of a quasi-relic. There were mysterious runes glowing on the pair of sabers, a sign of a quasi-relic. Bang! The holy grade weapon in God of Meng's hand was cut into 3 pieces. The two sabers kept moving toward God of Meng at a slow speed. At that moment, it was as if time had slowed down, profound of time. Fear flashed across Yanjin's eyes. This was something that only appeared in the legends. It was said that a heavens chosen of the human race had comprehended the profound meaning of time. There were many types of time profound, but the lowest was 7th grade. Roar! Luli no longer hesitated. From his abdomen came a dragon's roar. Then a silver glare came from his back. A huge silver dragon whooshed out, flew up into the clouds and disappeared into the sky. Rising dragon technique. At first, Luli thought this girl was pretty and her background was unknown, so he didn't dare to kill her. If he didn't act now, God of Meng would be killed. Naturally, he could not show mercy. Ha! Yanjin's hands glowed with a black light. His fists suddenly enlarged and lengthened, and he punched at the girl from another direction. This was his bloodline divine skill, and it was also one of his most powerful skills. Space-splitting profound. A pair of hooks appeared in Yicha's hands, condensing a golden claw shadow. Over 100 of them condensed at once and smashed towards the beautiful girl below. At this moment, no one treated this person as a beautiful girl, but as a cruel enemy. When dealing with an enemy, they naturally could not be soft-hearted, or else they would be the ones to die. A glint of surprise appeared in the girl's eyes. She looked at Luli and for the first time, there was a trace of seriousness in her eyes. Her saber stopped in midair, and a small golden flower mark appeared on her neck. The mark looked like a lotus. After the golden mark lit up, a huge lotus flower suddenly appeared under the girl's feet. The lotus flower was a beautiful red, but it had golden edges, so it looked like it was shining with a golden red light. The lotus bloomed and instantly enveloped the girl. Luli and the others' attacks arrived at the same time. Luli's attack was the fastest. A huge dragon claw appeared in midair and reached at the lotus bud. With a deafening noise, the lotus glowed in golden light. A surge of horrifying airwaves spread out and smashed God of Meng, who was standing in midair, away. God of Meng smashed into the wall and then fell into the lava pond. Yanjin followed up with his attack. 2 huge fists with golden glare landed on the lotus petals. Just like Luli, the lotus glowed again. It stood in midair, not moving at all. Boom, 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 Yicha's space-splitting profound meaning came. Huge golden claw shadows smashed down. However, Luli and Yanjin's attacks could not damage the petals. Yicha's attacks were like scratching an itch, not causing any harm to the petals. God of Meng let out a miserable cry in the lava pond. He was acting strangely. He stood in midair without moving and only came to his senses after he was smashed into the lava. He flew up from the lava in a hurry. His skin was burnt. Luckily, he was strong in defense, so it was just a flesh wound. Luli's face was pale. He could barely release the rising dragon skill. His physical body and realm were too weak. Every time he used it, his vitality would be sapped. He wobbled on his fate wheel, and almost fell to the ground. His eyes were filled with shock. He shifted his gaze to Yanzhen, who was beside him, and found that Yanzhen was also in disbelief. How powerful were their attacks! Li Yang could not resist at all. He was torn apart by the dragon claw easily. How powerful the rising dragon's skill was! But they could not break the petals? Yanzhen used to be the master of the Yama Palace of the Serenity Plains. He had been famous for hundreds of years, and he was proud of his attacks. The 2 punches were his bloodline skill. How could he accept that he couldn't even break the girl's defense, let alone kill her? Bloodline skill. Lu Li and Yanzhen's pupils contracted in fear. They both remembered the golden flower mark on the girl's neck. The flower was not a piece of treasure, nor a quasi-relic. It was the girl's bloodline skill. Golden. Lu Li gasped. He was trembling. Bloodlines were divided into different grades, from the 1st to the 9th, corresponding to different colors. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, black and gold. Gold was the legendary 9th rank bloodline. It was said that Emperor of Heaven Reverse learned the golden 9th rank bloodline. Of the entire Heaven Reverse universe, Emperor of Heaven Reverse was the only one who learned 9th rank bloodline. It was recorded in the history books of every family. 9th rank, the legendary 9th rank bloodline. Yi Cha came to his senses and murmured. His eyes were filled with fear. The girl's skills were amazing. They were not on the same level. Not only did she have a quasi-relic, but God of Meng was standing there like a fool. Clearly, he was under soul attack. Needless to say, the girl's soul attack must be horrifying to be able to stun God of Meng's soul for such a long time. Therefore, Yi Cha shouted without hesitation, Saint Lord, run. We will hold her off. God of Meng came to his senses. He flew up in a roar and shouted, Yanzhen, take Saint Lord and run. Yanzhen didn't hesitate. He was scared by the girl as well. Hearing God of Meng's words, he grabbed Lu Li with one hand and was about to fly up. The petals of the lotus suddenly became transparent, revealing the girl's cold face. She sneered and said in the ancient language, If I let you barbarians run away, then I don't deserve to be a disciple of the Leng family. P.S. Starting at 12 p.m. Chapter 681. As the girl who called herself Leng Wuxin finished her words, the golden petal mark on her neck glowed again. Following that, countless petals emerged from under her feet and flew to all directions like lotus lanterns. The Z family bloodline skill of the northern desert was also petals, but it was of the 7th rank. When they used their bloodline skill, the petals would dance around and eventually form a cage of petals to trap their enemies. Leng Wuxin's bloodline skill was similar to that of the Z family. That being said, the lotuses she released were complete, not petals. In terms of momentum, they were much weaker. The huge lotuses whooshed toward God of Meng and Yi Cha. Seeing that the lotuses were enclosed, God of Meng tried to smash them away out of instinct. However, something happened to him. As soon as he punched in, the lotuses caved in. At the same time, a strong suction force came from the lotuses. Due to inertia, God of Meng fell into the lotuses and then, he was wrapped up. T Yi Cha wanted to use space, splitting profound meaning again to knock away the lotuses. But he didn't dare to let the lotuses come closer. He dashed around like a mudfish. The hook in his hand glowed as he dashed toward Leng Wuxin, trying to create time for Lu Li to run away. He was too naive. The 4 lotuses around him suddenly bloomed and a strong suction force came from all sides. Yi Cha could not stand it and was sucked in by one of the lotuses. Bang, 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 bang from the lotus that trapped God of Meng came some muffled sounds of explosion. The lotus was glaring but could not be broken. God of Meng's bellows of rage came out as well. He seemed to be in pain. He must have been attacked. From the moment the lotuses appeared to the moment they were trapped, only the time for one breath had passed. Yan Zhen and Lu Li hadn't gone far. They hadn't even made it out of the crater. Lu Li used psychic power to check. His face turned pale. He shouted, "Yan Zhen, put me down. Go back and tell everyone to get out of the inferno. Then, tell Kumang to seal the tunnel. This is an order." Yan Zhen was Lu Ling's slave. She told him to follow Lu Li's orders. Therefore, Yan Zhen did as he was told. He left Lu Li behind and flew away by himself. Lu Li didn't want to court his own death. He just knew that the two of them couldn't get away. This girl was so abnormal, and her entire body was a treasure. How could her speed be weak? Yan Zhen wouldn't be able to escape with him. Since they were going to die anyway, he might as well let Yan Zhen escape. Yi Cha was his old subordinate, and God of Meng had made great contributions for him. Now that the two of them were in danger, how could Yi Cha stand by and watch them die? Therefore, he chose to stay, hoping to think of a way to save them. Hee hee. From down below came a sneer. Lotuses flew up one by one. Lu Li flew up slowly until he reached the crater. He stood there with pride, waiting for Ling Wuxin to come out. He could tell that Ling Wuxin seemed to be interested in him. More precisely, she was interested in his bloodline skill. Whoosh! 9 huge lotuses flew up. God of Meng and Yi Cha were still attacking the petals. There was a trace of pain in their shouts. God of Meng and Yi Cha wondered what they were going through. Ling Wuxin came out with a pair of blades in hand. The petals of the lotus bloomed, revealing her stunning face. She curled up the corner of her mouth. It was a faint smile, more like a sneer. In her eyes she was like a princess. She looked at Lu Li as if he were a civilian in rags, which hurt Lu Li's self-esteem. Lu Li's face was pale, and he was short of breath. He cleared his throat and said in the ancient language, "Young Lady Lung, let go of my 2 subordinates, and I will stay to appease your anger. How about that?" Ling Wuxin covered her mouth and smiled. "I didn't know that you are such a loyal friend. You want me to let them go? That is not impossible. Just take this pellet." A red interspatial ring on Ling Wuxin's hand glowed and a blue pellet flew out. Lu Li grabbed it and checked with psychic power. He felt his soul was being controlled by the pellet. He frowned and asked, "Will I become your soul slave after I take this pellet?" Ling Wuxin was surprised. She didn't try to hide it. "Yes, this is a soul corpse pellet. You will become my soul slave after you take it. Either you take it or all 3 of you will die." Soul slave? Lu Li put on a cruel smile. Become someone's soul slave? He would rather die. How could he not know how painful and regretful Hu Lang and the others were? After becoming a soul slave, there would be no more days of freedom. When the master gave the order, the slave would not fight back, even if it was to have sex. Even if the slave had to kill his own family, he could not disobey the master's order. To become a soul slave, not only would he lose his freedom, he would also lose his dignity. As far as Lu Li was concerned, a person without dignity and pride was not a human being. If so, then what was the point of living? This was Lu Li's principle and bottom line. Therefore, he threw the pellet to Ling Wuxin and said calmly, "You can kill me, you can torture me for a year or even 10 years. You can break my bones bit by bit. You can throw me into the furnace and burn me into ashes. But to make me your soul slave, I am sorry. I cannot do that." Clap, clap, clap. Ling Wuxin stuck her sabers into the lotus flowers. She patted them and said with a nod, "You have guts. You are a man. But, aren't you afraid that I will break your 2 subordinates' bones one by one right in front of you? Cut off their flesh piece by piece?" Lu Li remained calm. He sighed and said, "You can do that, but I will have to commit suicide and die with them. I think they will understand." "Really?" Ling Wuxin was not entirely convinced. She looked at Lu Li with a mocking look and said, "Right now, their skin is being corroded, and you are making empty promises. If you want to die with them, can you do something about it? What do you want to see?" A dagger emerged in Lu Li's eyes. The heaven-grade soft armor hid inside his body. He swung the dagger and stabbed at his chest. Swish. Lu Li's expressions didn't change. He pulled the dagger out. Blood gushed out from the hole in his chest, but he kept on stabbing at his chest. 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves, 5 moves. 5 holes appeared in Lu Li's chest. Blood gushed out like arrows, staining his body and the fate wheel under his feet. Blood gushed out from his mouth. His face grew paler. From the beginning to the end, the look in his eyes didn't change. There was no sign of pain on his face. It was as if it was not his body that was stabbed, but someone else's. Chapter 682. Lu Li was not a masochist. Who would stab themselves for no reason? Who would stab themselves in pain and pretend that nothing had happened? Who would have the guts to pretend to be tough like this? Lu Li's goal was to stun this Ling Wuxin. She had an extraordinary background and her hands were stained with blood. But she was a girl after all. Maybe she could be intimidated. Lu Li didn't want to live. He just wanted to stun Ling Wuxin so that Yi Cha and God of Meng wouldn't die with him. This young lady was cruel and merciless. She would not let them go so easily. Ling Wuxin was shocked by Lu Li's cruelty. She thought Lu Li was a fair-skinned young man, soft and weak, like a young master. She didn't expect him to be as cruel as a gangster. How could he be so cruel to himself? What was more important was the look in Lu Li's eyes. The calmness in his eyes was a stark contrast to the bloody holes on his chest. Anyone could be moved, not to mention a young girl. Buzzing. The 2 lotuses next to Ling Wuxin glowed. The petals opened up and Ling Wuxin's eyes glowed. 2 rays of blue light flashed across and disappeared into God of Meng's eyes. God of Meng was covered in blood. He was just about to fly out from the lotuses when he was hit by the 2 rays of blue light. He stopped moving and his eyes became misty. Whoosh! A black whip appeared in the girl's hand and she smashed at the back of God of Meng's head. The black whip glowed and was surrounded by a black airstream. There seemed to be some mysterious runes glowing. The whip whooshed on, tearing apart the space on its way. Another quasi-relic. Lu Li was speechless. What was this young lady's background? How come she had so many quasi-relic-like carrots? He wasn't worried about the whip, because he didn't sense any killing intent from Ling Wuxin. She must be trying to knock God of Meng out. Bang! As he expected, the whip landed on the back of God of Meng's head. The force knocked him out. The back of his head was bleeding and it was cracked. He was smashed away and smashed into the mountain. Swish! The whip whooshed to another direction. Yi Cha had just flown away when Ling Wuxin threw him a glance. After 2 rays of blue light, Yi Cha was immobilized as well. Bang! Yi Jie was sent flying as well. She fainted in the mountain and was buried alive by the falling mud and rocks. With that done, Ling Wuxin turned to Lu Li and said, "I will give you 2 choices. 1, death. Not only you, but your 2 servants will die as well. 2nd, come with me and help me do 3 things." Whoosh whoosh, Lu Li exhaled quietly. He took out some healing pellets and swallowed them. His guess was right. This Lady Ling Wuxin was interested in him. It was the right choice for him to stay. God of Meng and Yi Cha wouldn't have to die. After swallowing a healing pill, he circulated his dark energy to seal the wound so that the blood would not gush out. Then, he looked at Ling Wuxin and said, "Where are we going? After doing these 3 things, will you let me go?" "You don't have the right to know where to go." Ling Wuxin responded coldly, "If you can do these 3 things well, I'll let you go." Lu Li shrugged and said with a bitter smile, "Do I have any other choice? You know your place." Ling Wuxin waved the whip in her hand. The whip slithered over like a viper and entangled Lu Li's hands. A surge of strange energy surged out from the whip. Lu Li felt he was confined and he could not move at all. "Put away your fate wheel." Ling Wuxin waved her hand and a huge lotus flew toward Lu Li. Luli put the fate wheel back into his abdomen. The lotus flew over and enveloped Luli. He could see the outside world from inside the lotus. The whip even went through the gaps between the petals. One end of the whip was tied up Luli's hands and the other end was in Ling Wuxin's hand. It was as if Luli was an animal being led by Ling Wuxin. Buzzing, the other lotuses flew into Ling Wuxin's neck, leaving only 2 lotuses. Ling Wuxin looked back at Luli indifferently. The lotus in front of her flew into the distance in a blur. Since the whip was pulling Luli's body, the lotus Luli was in was pulled forward, one in front of the other, like 2 lanterns dancing in the air. Through the lotus petals, Luli gazed at God of Meng and Yi Cha in the distance with mixed feelings. Somehow, he had a feeling. He might be taken to a faraway place by Ling Wuxin, and he might never come back. Qiushue, sister, Qiling, auntie, father. Luli looked back and murmured the names to himself. A glint of regret and loneliness rose in his eyes. Bai Qiushi would wake up in a couple of months, but Luli might not have the chance to see him again. Ever since he was born, he hadn't even seen his father once. Whoosh, the lotus was moving faster and faster. It was faster than human sovereign realm warriors, and it was still accelerating. Luli exclaimed to himself as he watched the mountains on both sides moving away. 9th rank bloodline was powerful. Not only could it defend, but it could also trap people, and its speed was horrifying. To the north. Luli suddenly realized that Ling Wuxin was flying to the north. On the other side, Yi Jie and the others hadn't gone to investigate. The Inferno prison was simply too vast. Even Yi Jie couldn't investigate too far. Can it be? An idea came to Luli's mind. Could it be that there were primitive inhabitants in the Inferno? Was this Ling Wuxin a young lady from a big family among the primitive inhabitants? Or hundreds of thousands of years ago, human beings fought against ancient races. Some of the ancient races escaped to the Inferno and developed here. Ling Wuxin's ancestors used to be from a big family in the outside world? But there was a problem with this speculation. Ling Wuxin's bloodline was of the 9th rank. Throughout history, the most powerful bloodline in the Heaven Reverse universe was the Emperor of Heaven Reverse. Since there were no ancestors with 9th rank bloodline, it was impossible for future generations to have 9th rank bloodline, unless they were descendants of Emperor of Heaven Reverse. However, Emperor of Heaven Reverse never got married and had no descendants. Otherwise, the descendants of Emperor of Heaven Reverse would be the most powerful royal family. Luli could not figure it out. The rising dragon skill had consumed a lot of his physical strength, spirit, and energy. Then, he stabbed himself several times. He felt extremely weak. The only thing he could do was to sit with his legs crossed and wait for his body to recover. The unknown force from the whip had confined his strength. He could not use Xian energy. He had to rely on his body's self-recovery ability to heal. The lotus was moving faster and faster. It had reached the Earth Immortal Realm. Luli was numb. He didn't care about the speed. Instead, he looked down. He could see many strange beasts down there. What was strange was that the beasts down there didn't seem to see the lotus flying over. They didn't even look up. They just lay down and walked around leisurely. Where is this girl taking me? Even though Luli felt drowsy, he didn't dare to fall asleep. He kept his eyes wide open to observe the surroundings, memorizing the direction and the landscape. Chapter 683. Lu Ling was at the Black Tortoise City at the moment. The Serenity Plains had not been stabilized yet. There were too many scouts and spies from different families and forces. To conquer the Serenity Plains completely, she must eliminate all the spies and scouts. In a hall, Lu Ling was reading the military intelligence sent back from the front line. There was an entire table. Usually, Lu Ling would take her time to enjoy the tea and read the information. But today, she felt uneasy and uncomfortable. She just couldn't sit well. She threw the intelligence on the table and sat for a while. Her eyebrows were knitted together. She waved her hand and Hu Lang came in. Lu Ling asked, "Is there any special intelligence? Why do I feel uneasy today?" Hu Lang was stunned for a moment. He blinked his eyes and said, "No, no one sent any military intelligence today. The military intelligence was only sent yesterday. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any new military intelligence coming in 2 days." Lu Ling nodded. She waved Hu Lang away and went back to reading. After a while, she felt more and more uncomfortable. She put down the report, stood up and shouted, "Hu Lang, go to the deserted world and see if anything has happened." Okay. Hu Lang didn't dare to disobey her. He walked out. He was about to take the teleportation formation to the cave to enter the deserted world when the teleportation formation in the city suddenly lit up. A man showed up. Mingyu. Hu Lang's heart skipped a beat when he saw Mingyu. He didn't talk to Mingyu. He grabbed Mingyu's arm and rushed into the hall. Before they reached the inner hall, Lu Ling appeared at the gate. She was taken aback and her face turned pale when she saw Mingyu. She said nothing and looked at him. "Lady Ling, something is wrong." Lu Ling waved her hand after Mingyu said those words. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then, she opened her eyes again and asked Mingyu to continue. Mingyu reported in distress, "There is a mysterious girl in the Inferno. She is at the human sovereign realm and has a quasi-relic. She is very powerful and she has a 9th rank bloodline. God of Meng, Yan Zhen and Yi Cha could not survive one move from her. Now, young master and that mysterious girl are missing. We think young master has been taken away by that mysterious girl." "What?" Hu Lang turned pale with fright and said in disbelief, "9th grade bloodline? Are you sure?" A quasi-relic was normal and a girl at the human sovereign realm was not that scary. It was not exaggerated that Yan Zhen, the god of Meng, could not survive one strike from the girl. But the fact that she had a 9th rank bloodline was unacceptable. Lu Ling sighed. She blamed herself and was upset. She took another few breaths. Without asking any questions, she ordered, "Hu Lang, relay my order. Get all the human sovereign realm warriors back. Now." Everything. Hu Lang was a little hesitant. Right now, many human sovereigns were standing guard everywhere. If there were no human sovereigns around, the serene prefecture would soon fall into chaos. Lu Ling threw him a cold glance. Hu Lang dared not to hesitate any longer. He dashed out and began to summon all the human sovereign realm warriors. Mingyu knew what was on Lu Ling's mind. Compared to Lu Li, Mingyu wouldn't mind losing the Clouds Plains and the Serenity Plains and losing all the human sovereign realm warriors under Lu Ling's command. The two siblings were both like this. They wouldn't hesitate even if they had to exchange their entire world for each other's lives. "Let's go to the Inferno first." Lu Ling thought about it and walked out. At the door, she said to the chief steward, "Tell Hu Lang that when all the human sovereign realm warriors are gathered, we will go to the Inferno at once." Mingyu dared not to disobey Lu Ling. He teleported with her and arrived at the deserted world after a few turns. Lu Ling didn't stop. She teleported to the Shadowland City. Everyone in the Inferno had come out and gathered at the Shadowland City. Mingyu had given orders to control the city. Nobody was allowed to leave. Yan Zhen was in charge in person. The atmosphere in the city was tense. Everyone was in a state of panic. They didn't know what was going on. However, they were taken out from cultivation and kept in a city. Mingyu, Yan Zhen, Kuelvi and the others looked awful. Naturally, they could tell that something serious had happened. The arrival of Lu Ling and Mingyu made them feel they had found their backbone. Lu Feishue was crying her eyes out. She was also a girl, but she couldn't take as much as Lu Ling. Lu Ling comforted Lu Feishue calmly and told her to go back to rest. Then, she looked around the hall and asked Yanjin, "Where are God of Meng and Yi Cha?" "They are still in there," Yanjin answered. "They were knocked out. When they woke up, they found that young Master Li was missing. Yi Cha came back and told them something. Then, he and God of Meng went to look for young Master Li. Lu Ling nodded. She asked another question. What is the situation at the Inferno? Yan Zhen turned to Kuelvi, the clan leader of the Shadowland race, who bowed and said, We have set up a formation at the exit. If we don't deactivate it and someone tries to force their way in, the formation will be blown up along with the passageway. We have given jade talismans to Lord God of Meng and clan leader Yi. They will contact us when they come out. Good. Clan leader Ku, you have done well. Please go to the passageway and report back at once if anything happens. Lu Ling waved her hand and Kuelvi left with Kumang. She glanced at everyone and said, Do not tell anyone about what happened in the Inferno. Anyone who does will be killed. Okay, you can go now. I have my own arrangements. Somehow, they were relieved to see Lu Ling so calm. They left one after another. Yan Zhen and Mingyu stayed. They knew Lu Ling was going to ask them about the situation. Yan Zhen admired Lu Ling. Her brother was missing and could die at any moment. Inside, she was burning with anxiety, but she kept a straight face. Tell me what you have seen and what you have guessed. Lu Ling asked. She picked up a cup of tea but didn't drink it. Yan Zhen and Mingyu organized their thoughts and said, A while ago, more than a dozen scouts died in the fire lake. Young Master Li sent a message for me and God of Meng. We went to the fire lake to check. We circled around the volcano for a while. At the last moment, young Master Li told me to leave. You told me to follow his orders, and I did not dare to disobey. Yan Zhen recounted everything he had seen and heard, including the robes that the girl was wearing. He also told Yi Cha about the situation, that Yi Cha had come back to report to him. Yi Cha and God of Meng were trapped in the petals, but they could hear what was said outside. But the latter two were knocked out. Lu Ling didn't hear Ling Wuxin asking Lu Li to go with her and do 3 things for her. Lu Ling closed her eyes and tried to recall Yan Zhen's words. Images came to her mind. Chapter 684. Another universe? Yan Zhen frowned. Saintess, are you referring to small worlds? A relatively powerful small world? Not small worlds. Universes like the Heaven Reverse Universe. Lu Ling said with certainty. Apart from the Heaven Reverse Universe, there should be other universes nearby. As a matter of fact, small worlds can be regarded as universes as well. To us, the deserted world is a small world. To powerful warriors from other universes, the Heaven Reverse Universe can be a small world as well. Indigenous, Lu Ling said with a solemn expression. The meaning of this word is clear. We call the weak races in the small worlds indigenous. That young lady Ling called you indigenous. From this, we can infer that she might be from a more powerful universe. Throughout the history of the Heaven Reverse Universe, there has only been one person with 9th rank bloodline, Emperor of Heaven Reverse. For 1,000,000 years, no one has ever heard of a 9th rank bloodline. You should know that bloodline is hereditary. It means that there are many 9th rank bloodlines in that girl's family. Therefore, the girl cannot be from the Heaven Reverse Universe, and she cannot be from an ancient race that escaped to the Inferno. There are only 2 possibilities. Either she is a native of the Inferno or she is from another universe. They once investigated the Inferno. For hundreds of thousands of years, there was no sign of human activity. The girl came out of nowhere and she was alone. Therefore, I believe the second possibility. The girl is from another universe. Lu Ling's tone was firmer. She was sure of her theory. Yan Zhen was not convinced. After all, Lu Ling's theory was too shocking. There were other universes other than the Heaven Reverse Universe? If this news was spread out, the entire Heaven Reverse Universe would be in chaos and panic. After all, if the girl could come to the Inferno, powerful warriors from other universes could come. Eventually, the Heaven Reverse universe would be occupied and all lives would be enslaved. As far as Yanzhen was concerned, Lu Ling's theory was ridiculous. To him, the Heaven Reverse universe was the entire world, the center of the universe. Even if there were some small worlds in cracks of space, the Heaven Reverse universe would be the orthodox one, the largest world. How could there be another universe, one more powerful than the Heaven Reverse universe? There were universes more powerful than the Heaven Reverse universe. That should be the legendary divinity. The place where Emperor of Heaven Reverse ascended. Was Leng Wuxin from the divinity? This was even more absurd. If people from the divinity could come down, why didn't Emperor of Heaven Reverse come back? So Yanzhen hesitated for a moment and said, Saintess, your deduction. Although it makes sense, I don't think it's true. If there were other powerful universes, the Heaven Reverse universe would have been occupied and enslaved. What do you know? Lu Ling sneered. Yanzhen was speechless. He had lived for hundreds of years while Lu Ling was only 20 years old. How could she say that he knew something? But he was Lu Ling's slave, so he dared not to show any dissatisfaction. Lu Ling took out a scroll from her interspatial ring. Pointing to the scroll, she said, About 1,000,000 years ago, powerful warriors from alien worlds came. Back then, Emperor of Heaven Reverse was not even born yet. At that time, the 10,000 races were at the peak of their strength. 3 powerful warriors from alien dimensions came and slaughtered 3 races. Then, the 3 warriors disappeared mysteriously. They did not stay in the Heaven Reverse universe for long. I came across this ancient scroll by chance. There are detailed records on it. It was recorded by an ancient race that had existed for 2,000,000 years. What? Yanzhen's eyes were wide open. He looked at the scroll. Unfortunately, he did not understand the ancient language. He believed that Lu Ling would not lie to him. After the unification of the Clouds Plains and the conquest of the Serenity Plains, the first thing Lu Ling did was to search for ancient scrolls and books. She didn't know that there were such ancient records. Are there really powerful universes? Yanzhen murmured in astonishment. That Lady Ling is from a powerful universe. It is too early to tell. Lu Ling waved her hand and said, Wait until Hu Lang and the others come in. When they come in, split into 3 teams and search the inferno for me. Even if you cannot find Lu Li, you must find out where he is. Yes. Yanzhen was scared. But what could he say when Lu Ling had given the order? He prayed to himself that they would not run into any powerful aboriginals in the inferno. Otherwise, all of them would perish. In 4 days, Hu Lang and the others arrived at the Shadowland city. Yi Cha and God of Meng had not come back yet. Lu Ling could not wait any longer. She sent all the human Sovereign Realm warriors in. Lu Ling had a large number of human Sovereign Realm warriors working for her. She had 6 at the Clouds Plains and 7 later. Of the 9 human Sovereign Realm warriors at the Serenity Plains, she had subdued 5. In total, she had 12. Lu Ling divided the 12 into 3 teams of 4 and began to search the entire inferno. There were many beasts in the inferno, and many of them were ferocious. There were even beast kings. That being said, when 4 human Sovereign Realm warriors worked together, they could break out of the encirclement easily. Not even 2 or 3 beast kings could stop them. Lu Ling also warned the 12 human Sovereign Realm warriors that if they ran into Yi Cha and God of Meng, they must join the team and not act alone. Lu Ling gave each team some jade talismans and set a secret code. They were to crush different jade talismans in different situations. If something went out of control, they were to come back and report at once. Ku-Lv activated the inhibition formation and let the 12 human Sovereign Realm warriors in. Several patriarchs of the Cyan Phoenix race moved together with 1 patriarch in each team. This would be more convenient. Everything was arranged. The passageway to the inferno was closed again. There was nothing Lu Ling could do except wait. She began to control the overall situation of the Serenity Plains and the Clouds Plains. All the human sovereign realm warriors were transferred away. Chaos ensued. It was said that the major forces of the frigid plains were still eyeing them. She must try to find a way to control the situation. Otherwise, all her previous efforts would be in vain. Lu Ling had been dealing with military affairs and government affairs without rest. During this time, she didn't show any strange emotions in front of outsiders. She was so strong that Lu Feishue and Ming Yu felt sorry, for her little white was not back yet and Bai Qiushue had not woken up yet. The only thing to be happy about was that the Central Plains was peaceful. The forces of the Central Plains wouldn't dare to make any trouble. Lu Li's killing of Recluse Solar Dragon in public at the Shilong City had shocked everyone. Time passed day by day, and the atmosphere in Heavenly Fantasy City became more and more solemn. Many people felt that living in this city was especially oppressive, like the moment before a storm. It was suffocating. 10 days, half a month, 20 days, 28 days. Finally, the teleportation formation in the Shadowland City lit up. Yi Cha, god of Meng, for human sovereign realm warriors and patriarchs of the Cyan Phoenix race, showed up. The 7 of them looked haggard and shabby. Their eyes were bloodshot and they were exhausted. After they showed up, they dashed into the prefecture of the city lord like a gust of wind and entered Lu Ling's yard. Lu Ling was sitting behind her desk with a scroll of information in her hands. She suddenly looked up and stared at Yi Cha, who was the first to rush in. Plop! Yi Cha dropped to his knees and said in a choking voice, "Lady Ling, we have sinned. Saint Lord might have been taken to another universe by that witch." Splash! The stack of letters in Lu Ling's hands fell to the ground. She closed her eyes in exhaustion. She felt so weak that she could barely keep her eyelids open. Chapter 685. If Lu Li were in the Inferno, even if there were many powerful natives in the Inferno, there would still be a way to save him. She could ask the demon-slaying hall for help. There was a powerful universe next to the Heaven Reverse universe with some powerful native. The demon-slaying hall would not rest easy. They would mobilize the forces of the Great Land to fight back, and there would be hope for Lu Li to be saved. Now, Lu Li was taken to another universe. Judging from Yi Cha's expressions, Lu Ling could guess what was going on. That was why she felt powerless. God of Meng and the others came in. They dropped to one knee and said nothing. Lu Ling opened her eyes after the time for one incense stick to burn. She sighed and said, "Tell me, what is going on?" Seeing that God of Meng and the others were silent, Yi Cha made up his mind and said, "We have searched many places in the Inferno but did not find any signs of human life. Only in a super mountain in the north, we found a stairway leading to the clouds. We could not see the top and none of us could go up." Yi Cha paused for a moment before he continued in a more bitter tone. "On the wall next to the stairway, we found some words. They were carved not long ago. They are Saint Lord's words." Lu Ling's eyes were wide open. She asked, "What did he say?" Yi Cha said one word at a time, "Don't look for me. Wait for me to come back." "Okay," Lu Ling breathed out and forced a smile. She tried to make herself look better. After a moment of consideration, she said, "Is the journey safe? I want to go to the stairway." Hu Lang explained, "It will be fine with our protection. Saintess, do you want to go now? Have some rest." Lu Ling waved her hand and said, "Crush a jade talisman and tell the others to gather at the entrance of the Inferno." "Yes." Hu Lang and the others left. God of Meng and Yi Cha stayed. Yi Cha lowered his head and said, "Lady Ling, we are useless. We failed to protect Saint Lord. Please punish us." God of Meng lowered his head. He knew how powerful Lu Ling was and he was impressed by her wisdom and ability. It was their incompetence that Lu Li was taken away. God of Meng was too ashamed to face Lu Ling. "What does that have to do with you?" Lu Ling shook her head and said, "This is my brother's choice. You should not wallow in self-blame. Cultivate hard. Don't let him save you in vain. Yi Cha and God of Meng looked at each other. They were still worried about Lu Li's life. Don't think too much. Lu Ling waved her hand and said, Lu Li's jade talisman of life is not broken yet. He can still leave his words, which means that his situation is not too bad. I believe in my brother. He will come back. Of course, we all have to think of a way to save him. Go and rest. After you have rested, I want to enter the fire prison to take a look. Alright. The two of them didn't dare to stay here any longer. They turned around and left with heavy footsteps. Tick-tock, tick-tock. When everyone was gone, Lu Ling sat down helplessly. 2 drops of tears flowed down from the corner of her eyes and dropped to the ground, making a clear sound. During this period of time, everyone had been under a lot of pressure, and their hearts were in great pain. But who else could be more stressed and in more pain than Lu Ling? A day later, Lu Ling and Yi Cha entered the Inferno, leaving Ming Yu and Lu Feishue to take command at the Shadowland City. As for the Clouds Plains and the Serenity Plains, Lu Ling had given orders. Lu Ling couldn't care less if something would go wrong or not. She crushed the Jade Talisman to inform the other teams to gather at the base camp of the human sovereign realm. That being said, the Inferno was a vast place. It would take time for them to get back. Lu Ling asked a patriarch of the Cyan Phoenix race to stay at the base camp. She also left behind a simple map that Yi Cha had made for the human sovereign realm warriors to follow the map to find them. The 4 teams entered the Inferno and explored for nearly a month. None of their jade talismans of life were broken. This meant that there were no indigenous residents in the Inferno. Leng Wuxin and her family did not live in the Inferno. The Inferno should be safe. Yi Cha was at the front and God of Meng was leading the way. They flew around Lu Ling, seeing that Lu Ling was exhausted. Hu Lang asked her to get on his bead of life and let her sit down to rest. Lu Ling was exhausted. She had not had a good night's sleep for the past month. Often, she would fall asleep on a chair when she was too tired and wake up with nightmares. She sat on Hu Lang's bead of life and soon, she fell into a deep sleep. With so many human sovereign realm warriors, the journey was safe. Yi Cha was the best at exploring. If they could go around, they wouldn't have to fight against the Xian beast. If they couldn't, they could find a place with the least number of Xian beasts and go through. After flying for 3 days, the group encountered a team that was searching for the human emperor. The team didn't find any useful information. They didn't run into any humans in the Inferno, nor did they find any traces of humans living there. With so many human sovereign realm warriors, it was safer for them. Lu Ling didn't have to worry about anything. She never did. She had been cultivating on Hu Lang's bead of life, trying to forget about her worries and longing for Lu Li. The group flew straight to the north. The Inferno was so vast that it shocked them. They were all human sovereign realm warriors and they were fast. It took them half a month to arrive at their destination. What was more, this was not the northernmost part of the Inferno. They didn't know how vast the land was to the north. Their destination was a mountain that could reach the sky, piercing the clouds. They couldn't tell how high it was. As far as they could see, there were clouds. The mountain was covered by the clouds. Although it was said to be a towering mountain, it was actually more like a gigantic godly staff. The mountain was straight on all sides. Looking from the distance, it was like a huge iron rod that was pulled up into the sky, connecting the sky and the earth. There were no trees on the mountain, only bare reddish-brown rock. There was only a winding road that spiraled up into the clouds. This is a road to the sky. Is my brother taken to the heaven? Lu Ling squinted and murmured. She looked at it for a long time before she flew up and walked toward the mountain road. At the entrance of the mountain road was a smooth stone. On it, someone carved some words with a sharp blade. Don't look for me. Wait for me. It's Lu Li's handwriting. Lu Ling touched the words and smiled. The words were written calmly, forcefully and forcefully. Lu Ling saw a glimmer of hope. Maybe things weren't as bad as they thought. Maybe Luli could come down from there one day. The gravity on the stone stairs is horrifying. Hulang walked over and explained, even I wouldn't be able to climb 10 steps due to the gravitational pull up there. The higher you go, the stronger it is. I think, not even Xing Mu can go up to 100 step. 100, Lu Ling murmured. She stepped on the first stone stair. Her shoulders trembled. She stood there for a moment and then stepped on another stair. Then, she stepped back. Chapter 686. The words were carved by Luli. On the path to the heavens, Luli insisted on leaving some words or he would commit suicide. Ling Wuxin didn't mind letting him out so that he could leave some words to reassure Lu Ling and the others. Luli followed Ling Wuxin up the path. If it weren't for Ling Wuxin, he wouldn't have been able to go up. Ling Wuxin took out a piece of artifact and created a shield to cover them up. Then she walked up. Stepping into the clouds, Luli found himself in another strange world. Above the inferno there was another level. This was a world of trees. Towering trees of all shapes and sizes were everywhere. Many of the trees reached into the clouds. Their trunks were like hills. Luli couldn't tell how tall they were. He had been to many places, but it was the first time he had seen such tall trees. What was strange was, apart from the boundless forest, there were no powerful Xian beasts. There were only some birds and small animals. Most of them were herbivores. There weren't even any second-rank Xian beasts. There were many fruits here. Luli was drooling. If he could pick all of them, how many Xian crystals could he get? Ling Wuxin did see the fruits, but she didn't show any interest. She didn't pick them, which confused Luli. Luli didn't sit in another lotus. Instead, he and Ling Wuxin sat in one. Ling Wuxin told Luli to clean himself in a river so that he wouldn't run away. Luli changed into a clean robe. Ling Wuxin tied Luli's hands with a whip and brought him into a lotus. The lotus was spacious. It could accommodate 8 or 10 people, let alone 2. Ling Wuxin sat on the side with her legs crossed and told Luli to sit on the other side. She wasn't afraid that he would do anything. The lotus was fast. It flew toward the east in a straight line. After 10 days, they arrived at another towering mountain. This towering mountain was identical to the one in the inferno, both towering into the clouds with no end in sight. There was a winding path leading to the heavens. Ling Wuxin didn't say a word to Luli during the 10 days. When they arrived, she put away the lotus and took out a yellowish bead. She created a shield to cover Luli and herself up. The two of them easily walked up the sky-piercing mountain and entered another strange world. There was nothing in this world, only endless yellow sand. This was a world of sand. Luli flew in this world for 10 days as well. During that time, there was nothing but sand. He didn't see any trees, Xian beasts, or living beings. It was as if this was a land of death. 10 days later, they arrived at another towering mountain. It had been a month. Luli was almost recovered. He looked at the sky-piercing mountain in front of him, and a trace of confusion appeared in his eyes. Could it be that there were countless layers here? Was this a strange multi-layered world? Whoosh! When they arrived at the foot of the path of Babel, Ling Wuxin put away the whip in her hand and flew downward first. Luli felt that he could use his Xian energy now. He thought about it and flew down as well. He asked in a low voice, "Lady Ling, you let me go. Aren't you afraid that I will act recklessly?" For the first time in a long time, Ling Wuxin spoke. She threw Luli a casual glance and said, "Mess around? You can kill me? Or could he escape? You are not strong enough to kill me. But if you want to run, you can have a try. I will let you go if you can make it to 100 miles with your life intact." Luli was taken aback. Ling Wuxin was not joking. Apart from the yellow sand, he didn't sense any danger. He paused, looked into the distance, and asked, "Really?" Ling Wuxin smiled. She nodded and said, I, Ling Wuxin, never lie. If you can make it to 100 miles, I will let you go. Okay. Lu Li released his fate wheel at once. The soft armor appeared over his body, and the divine weapon of Dragon King appeared in his hand. He flew to the distance slowly. After 100 feet, he looked at Ling Wuxin. Seeing that she didn't do anything, Lu Li flew on boldly. 200 feet, 150 feet, 1,000 feet. Everything was normal. There was no fluctuation of inhibition formations, nor was there any sign of living beings. Emboldened, Lu Li flew on. Bang! After Lu Li flew forward for another dozens of feet, the yellow sand in front of him suddenly exploded. Following that, a huge beast crawled out from underground. It was a huge golden scorpion with a length of more than 1,000 feet. It had a golden shell all over its body. A surge of horrifying chi and energy spread out from its body. Beast King. Lu Li's heart skipped a beat. Before he could react, the yellow sand in two areas to the front to his left exploded at the same time. Two huge beasts came out from the yellow sand. Beast Kings again. Lu Li was speechless. He didn't know that the Beast Kings were hiding underground. But he was not afraid. His eyes glowed with silver light. Two silver dragons were hovering in his eyes. He was surrounded by some kind of chi and energy. There was a faint airflow around him. He was releasing Dragon Might. Dragon Might was not a bloodline skill. It was a skill that came naturally to him after he consumed that claw of a beast god. With the Dragon Might, Lu Li could awe Beast Kings. Back in the Cloud Sea, he had awed several Beast Kings. But what happened next shocked Lu Li. The three Beast Kings showed no fear. Their eyes were cold and emotionless. Lu Li made up his mind to step back as soon as he saw the eyes of the three Beast Kings. Whoosh, he was as fast as the Beast Kings. He was only 1,000 feet away from the towering mountain. Soon, he flew back. When he entered the through path, the three Beast Kings immediately stopped in their tracks. Rustle, 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 the three Beast Kings went back to where they were and burrowed into the yellow sand. Soon, they vanished along with their chi and energy. If it were not for the fact that there were 3 pits on the ground, Lu Li would have thought that he was hallucinating. So many Beast Kings? Lu Li murmured with lingering fear. Then, he frowned and asked Ling Wuxin, "They are not Beast Kings, are they? The beasts in the inferno don't look like Xian beasts. What are they?" "They are beasts of primordial chaos," Ling Wuxin explained casually. "They are beasts born in the purgatory of primordial chaos. Different from Xian beasts, they are not intelligent. Your might is strong, but it is useless against the beasts of primordial chaos." Ling Wuxin laughed in the end, as if she was mocking Lu Li in silence. Her eyes were full of mockery as well. Noticing that Lu Li was upset, Ling Wuxin went on, "What? Aren't you going to run? Why don't you? I am a woman of my word. I will let you go back as long as you can go more than 30 miles. No. I will send you back in person. How about that?" Lu Li rolled his eyes. 30 miles? He couldn't even go that far. No wonder Ling Wuxin didn't restrain him anymore. She wasn't afraid that he would run away. How come there are so many Beast Kings of primordial chaos in this damn place? Lu Li mumbled. Ling Wuxin smiled and said, "There are 10 levels in the purgatory of primordial chaos. The inferno is only the first level and this is the third. You will know what horror is when you go beyond the 6th level. Now that you have decided not to run, come with me." With that said, Ling Wuxin turned around and walked up, paying no more attention to Lu Li. Lu Li made up his mind. He had to follow her. If he didn't go with her, would he stay and wait for death? Purgatory of primordial chaos? What kind of place is this? Lu Li's mind was filled with questions. The inferno was the first level? The second level was filled with forests. Could it be the prison of wood? There was only sand here. Could it be the prison of earth? Were there the prison of water and prison of gold above? Chapter 687. With the shield of Ling Wuxin's bead, Luli climbed up the towering mountain easily. After walking through the clouds, the world changed again. They appeared in the middle of a boundless ocean. It really is the water prison. Luli rolled his eyes. He looked around and asked Ling Wuxin, "Is the next level the prison of gold? What's the 6th floor called?" "That's right." Ling Wuxin looked back at Luli. She didn't want to hide anything. She explained casually, "Fire, wood, earth, water, gold, ice, wind, darkness, soul and thunder. This was the primal chaos 10 purgatories. If you could enter the 10th level and step onto the path to heaven, you would be able to shatter the void and ascend. Are you tempted? Why don't you try it yourself? Give it a try?" Luli touched his nose in embarrassment. Ling Wuxin said that each level of the prison of primordial chaos was more horrifying than the one before. He couldn't even survive the 3rd level. How could he try the 10th? What was the difference between this and hanging oneself? Fire, wood, earth, water, metal, ice, wind, darkness, soul, lightning. Luli committed the 5 elements to memory. The prison of ice, prison of wind and prison of thunder were easy to understand. But what were the prison of darkness and prison of soul? Could it be that the dark prison was pitch black, and there were many chaos beasts in the soul prison that knew how to launch soul attacks? Thunder prison. This was the highest level of the purgatory of primordial chaos. Would one be able to ascend after passing through the purgatory of thunder and obtain the power of a god? Luli was looking forward to it. Wasn't the highest goal of a warrior to break the void and become an immortal like Emperor of Heaven Reverse? How terrifying is the thunder prison! Could it be that it was filled with violent thunderbolts? And a world-destroying divine beast born from lightning? While Luli was pondering, Ling Wuxin had released her lotus. She hopped onto it, looked back at Luli and asked, "You are not leaving?" Luli flew up at once, nodded and said, "Let's go." This was the water prison, the 4th level of the purgatory of primal chaos. If the 3rd level was already so terrifying, how terrifying would the 4th level be? Luli could not imagine it. The lotus petals engulfed it, and it shone brightly as it flew off into the distance. Its speed was getting faster and faster, and it reached the speed of an Earth celestial in just a few dozen breaths. This should be the fastest the lotus could go. Luli could tell that she couldn't wait to go back. The days that followed were filled with silence. Ling Wuxin had been cultivating with her legs crossed. She was only 10 feet in front of Luli, and he could have killed her with one move. But Luli never dared to move. He was not that impulsive. He didn't want to die for nothing. He was 100% sure that as long as he released even a little bit of his killing intent, Ling Wuxin would know it right away, even if he didn't do anything yet. This girl had so many treasures. Luli was not sure that he could kill her in an instant. The lady was cold-blooded. Her hands were tainted with blood. For her, Luli was just a local from a small world. Would Luli show any mercy to a native? If this indigenous man wanted to kill him, Luli would kill him in one move. Therefore, Luli dared not to move. His life was precious, and he did not live entirely for himself. He was living for Lu Ling, by Qiushue Jiang Qiling and Lu Feishue Mingyu, god of Meng, Meng Zhi Yicha, by family, Zi family and Yu family. When the 10 years were up, the Clouds Plains, the Northern Desert, the Serenity Plains, and the deserted world would turn into mountains of corpses and seas of blood wherever the 4 forces pointed. Therefore, he had to figure out a way to survive, to grow stronger and to go back before the 10 years were up. Go back, I must go back. No matter how hard it is, how tiring it is, I must live on. I want to go home, go home. Luli roared to himself. He forced himself to get rid of the distracting thoughts and focused on cultivation. He was about to reach the Noble Lord realm. He had the mystical materials, and all he needed was some accumulation. After Luli started to cultivate, Ling Wuxin opened her eyes. She threw him a casual glance, and then closed her eyes to continue cultivating. There was nothing but seawater in the prison of water. There were no continents or islands. All Luli could see was the boundless ocean. The water was blue and bottomless. Luli wondered what was hidden in the water. After 10 days and 10 nights, the huge lotus stopped at the foot of a towering mountain. But this time, Ling Wuxin didn't rush up. Instead, she coughed to wake Luli up from his cultivation. Have we arrived? Well, let's go. Luli opened his eyes, took a look at the towering mountain, and was about to fly down. However, Ling Wuxin didn't open the petals. She put on a solemn expression. She looked at Luli and asked, "Little native, what is your name?" "Little native?" Luli rolled his eyes and said, "Young lady Ling, I think we are about the same age." "No. I think I am older than you. It has been half a year since my 18th birthday. Also, I am not a native. My name is Luli." Ha ha, Ling Wuxin smiled. She didn't argue with Luli. She just blinked and asked, "Do you want to go back alive?" "Of course." Luli answered. Who would want to wander aimlessly if they could be happy and healthy? Nice. Ling Wuxin said to herself and nodded. Then, she looked at Luli sincerely and said, "I asked you to do 3 things for me. Now I have changed my mind. As long as you do one thing for me, not only will I send you back in person, but I will also give you many treasures. I can give you one of my quasi-relics as well." Ling Wuxin's words went in one ear and out the other. Ling Wuxin looked like a weird uncle trying to trick a little girl into buying candy, but Luli had no other choice. He asked in a low voice, "Tell me what it is first." "I want to kill a man." Ling Wuxin's tone turned cold. Killing intent spread out from her as she explained, "That man is 16 years old. He is a genius and he is at the initial stage of the human sovereign realm. His comprehensive abilities can defeat any warrior of the human sovereign realm. If you can help me kill him, I'll keep my promise. I can swear an oath." Luli didn't care if he swore or not. He curled his lips, sighed and said, "Lady Ling, I think you should just kill me." 16 years old? Initial stage of the human sovereign realm? He can defeat any warrior of the human sovereign realm. The man you want to kill is also a young master of a superfamily, right? He has 9th rank bloodline like you have? Quasi-relic? Do you think I can get within 30 miles of him with my abilities? This was a mission that was basically impossible to complete. Disciples of superfamilies would be protected by Earth Immortal Realm warriors at all times. Even if there were no Earth Immortal Realm warriors, Luli wouldn't be able to kill a warrior with a full set of quasi-relic. Yes, Ling Wuxin didn't hide anything. She said frankly, "He is indeed a disciple of a superfamily and he is a prince. He has 9th rank bloodline and he has quasi-relic. He is a rare talent in the royal family. If everything goes well, when he reaches the Earth Immortal Realm, he will be appointed as the future family patriarch." Royal family? Quasi-relic? Future family patriarch? Luli was speechless. He touched his nose in embarrassment and said, "Young lady Ling, please don't mess with me, okay? I am confident that I can kill a warrior of the noble lord realm with my abilities. I cannot kill him. You are so powerful. Why don't you do it yourself?" "I cannot." Ling Wuxin shook her head emotionlessly and said, "If I can do it myself, why would I need you? If I kill him, my mother and I will be sentenced to death by my father. There is no chance of survival." "Father?" Luli was surprised. An idea came to his mind. He asked in shock, "The man you want to kill, is it your brother?" Chapter 688. Clichés were common in big families. It was not uncommon for brothers to turn against each other and kill each other. It was not uncommon for fathers and sons to turn against each other. Luli had fallen out with the Lu family and Lu Xuan was his sworn enemy. Given the chance, Luli would kill Lu Xuan. But Lu Xuan and Lu Lin were cousins. What was more, Lu Li grew up at the northern desert and he had no emotional attachment to Lu Xuan. If it were between Lu Xuan and Lu Lin, no matter how much hatred there was between them, they wouldn't go this far. Also, Lu Li had threatened Lu Xuan's status and was exiled from the Lu family. Otherwise, Lu Xuan wouldn't have done such a thing. Today, he heard a beautiful young lady asking him to kill her half-brother? This was the first time Lu Li had heard of such a cliché. Lu Li could understand why Ling Wuxin asked him to do it. It was the same reason why Ji Mengtian and Lu Xuan asked Recluse Solar Dragon to kill Lu Li instead of sending powerful warriors from their families. Lu Li came from another universe. If he killed Ling Wuxin's brother secretly, the Ling family would kill Lu Li in a fit of rage. They wouldn't suspect their own people. Wait, Lu Li thought about it and found some flaws. He was too weak. How could he go to the Ling family without Ling Wuxin? How could he kill someone if he couldn't go to the Ling family? If Ling Wuxin brought him back, the Ling family would be suspicious. Lu Li looked at Ling Wuxin with confusion. She didn't try to hide anything. She told him her plan. Listen, we will part ways at the 5th level of the Prison of Gold. I will give you a map and some treasures to hide from the beasts of primordial chaos. Then, you will have to go to the Central Imperial Universe where my family is, find the Lung family and join them. When you arrive at the Lung family, my people will help you in secret. I will give you some heavenly treasures later. Your talent is not bad, and most importantly, your bloodline is of a pretty good level, so our family will definitely take you into the outer hall. When you are there, you must cultivate. I will create a chance for you to get in touch with my brother. My brother likes young talents. You just need to suck up to him and you will be able to please him. In the future, if you have the chance to go out with him or become his martial arts partner, then you will have the chance to kill him. I don't care what method you use to kill him. As long as you kill him, I'll make arrangements for you to escape easily. I will secretly arrange for someone to wait for you in the purgatory of primal chaos and send you back. Ling Wuxin laid out her entire plan. It sounded flawless, but Lu Li could tell that it was full of flaws. To put it bluntly, Ling Wuxin's plan could be summed up in one sentence. Lu Li would sneak into the Central Imperial Universe on his own and join the Ling family with his talents. She would slowly find an opportunity to get close to her brother, gain his trust, and finally kill him. Lu Li glanced over to her chest casually, wondering if all women with big breasts were so brainless. Judging from Ling Wuxin's tone, the Ling family was powerful in the Central Imperial Universe. They might even be one of the dominators of the continent, similar to the 12 royal families of the Central Plains. Such a powerful race had strict and harsh rules. Lu Li, an unknown person, wanted to join the Ling family? Dream on, not to mention giving him a chance to get close to Ling Wuxin's brother. To say the least, even if everything went smoothly and Lu Li could get close to Ling Wuxin's brother and find a chance to kill him, how could Lu Li kill a human sovereign realm warrior who was equipped with quasi-relic? Seeing that Ling Wuxin was waiting for his answer, Lu Li threw out the 2 points in a euphemistic way. Lu Li didn't even want to ask why Ling Wuxin wanted to kill her brother. He didn't want to gossip about the grudges between wealthy families. Ling Wuxin frowned at Lu Li's question, which made Lu Li speechless. Ling Wuxin never considered the 2 questions. Or, she didn't make a serious plan. She was just holding on to a glimmer of hope. She wanted Lu Li to die like a moth flying into a flame. Ling Wuxin thought about it for an hour before she said, "The first one is easy. There are some old warriors cultivating in the Prison of Gold. They often go in and out of the Central Imperial Universe. Sometimes, they will take in talented young men as their apprentices. You can pretend to be some old warrior's apprentice and be taken to the Prison of Gold since you were a kid. Later, I will look into some information and find an old warrior that hasn't shown up in the world for 1,000 years. You can say that your master is dead. Then there will be no way to find out. All right, Lung Wuxin thought about it for an hour. This excuse was not bad. At the very least, the Lung family wouldn't be able to find anything. That being said, the Lung family wouldn't believe him easily. The second point. Lung Wuxin's eyes grew colder. She said, I don't care what you do. Anyways, if you can't kill my brother, you will die. So, you have to figure out a way. If I have to do everything, what else can I do with you? Lung Wuxin was being shameless. Luli sighed after some thoughts. Young lady Lung, I have another question. Aren't you afraid that I will tell on you to your brother or father? Lung Wuxin's plan was that she would part ways with Luli later. What if Luli found a random person and announced Lung Wuxin's plan to the world? Or he could go to the Lung family and tell them about the plan. Ha ha. Lung Wuxin smiled and said carelessly, I believe you are not that stupid. You can check your bone marrow. Bone marrow? Luli used psychic power to check his bone marrow. Soon, he was taken aback. To his surprise, there was now a strange energy in his bone marrow. Without his knowledge, Lung Wuxin had poisoned him. This poison is a very evil ancient poison. Lung Wuxin moved closer to Luli and said in a low voice, You must take the antidote every half a year. Without it, you will rot and die. I am the only one in the Lung family who has this poison. There are no more than 3 people in the Central Imperial Universe who have it. So, Lung Wuxin continued, you can either try your best to kill my brother or commit suicide now. It will be less painful. Although this mission seems very difficult and impossible to complete, I will provide you with the spirit materials you need to quickly increase your strength. Who knows, maybe in a few decades, you will become my younger brother's trusted aide and possess the ability to kill him. Dozens of years? Luli looked at Lung Wuxin, whose eyes were bloodshot and the coldness in her eyes. Somehow, Luli shuddered. What kind of hatred did she have? How could a young girl spend dozens of years to set up a trap to kill her brother? Luli had no other choice but to keep this lunatic company. The only thing he could be glad about was that he still had time. It seemed, he could get many mystical materials to cultivate. He breathed out. Eventually, he couldn't help but ask, What did your brother do? You have to kill him. Bang. Chapter 689. Don't ask about things you shouldn't. Sometimes, gossip could get you killed. This was the lesson Luli learned. He was seeing stars and almost had a concussion. He crawled up and sat down quietly, not daring to ask more questions. Lung Wuxin didn't explain for a while. She just took out a document and gave it to Luli. This is the situation of the Central Imperial Universe. You have a general idea. Don't let anything slip. Luli took it over and took a look. It was a map with some notes written in the ancient language. There were some simple notes about the Central Imperial Universe. Unlike the Heaven Reverse Universe, the Central Imperial Universe had many separate continents. The Central Imperial Universe had only one huge continent surrounded by some large island. According to the scroll, there were 3 dynasties in the Central Imperial Universe which divided up the entire Central Imperial Universe. The 3 dynasties were the Qi dynasty, the Lung dynasty, and the Feng dynasty. As the names suggested, the 3 dynasties were controlled by the Qi family, the Lung family, and the Feng family. Luli studied the map carefully while Lung Wuxin took out some documents to read. When Luli had almost memorized the map, Lung Wuxin threw him another document and said, Pretend to be the apprentice of the skyline. This is his information. He has abducted talented disciples from small families of the Central Imperial Universe many times. You can say that you were captured when you were 3 years old. He hasn't shown up for hundreds of years. His life should be running out. Also, he lives in a secluded place. We can't find any evidence even if we suspect him. Luli took over the document. He was taken aback after a few glances. The information stated that the skyline had reached the semi-god realm 2,000 years ago and possessed mysterious skills. He once killed his way into the Feng dynasty and killed more than a dozen patriarchs of the Feng family. Semi-god realm? Luli looked at Ling Wuxin with confusion and asked, "What is the semi-god realm? Above the earth immortal realm?" "Yes." Ling Wuxin nodded and explained, "Earth immortal realm warriors are earth immortals and semi-god realm warriors are half immortals. I don't think there are any semi-god realm warriors in your small universe, right?" Luli nodded without further explanation. He didn't want Ling Wuxin to know too much about the Heaven Reverse universe. According to his calculations, the semi-god realm should be the level of the human chosen warriors of the Heaven Reverse universe. Above the semi-god realm should be the Emperor of Heaven Reverse, who could ascend to the immortal realm. He continued reading and memorized all the word. Ling Wuxin had given him an arduous task, a task that was almost impossible to accomplish. However, he had no choice but to continue. He had no choice but to think of a way to complete this task. He had to do it. He had to find a way to it. Even if this road was a dead end, he still had to find a way to walk down it. There was only hope when one was alive. Ling Wuxin memorized all the information. The ring on her hand glowed as another ring came out. She handed it to Luli and said, "There are many mystical materials in here, enough for you to reach the human sovereign realm. You can't. You if you want. If you can't lungt you to say it." She took out a brown Buddhist bead and a map. Handing them to Luli, she said, "This Buddhist bead is a piece of treasure. With this, the beasts of primordial chaos in the prison of gold will not attack you. Of course, you must be careful in the prison of gold. There are humans and alien races hiding in many places. There are not only talented warriors of the central sovereign realm, but also from other universes. If you die in there, you can only blame it on your bad luck. The red mark on the map is the portal to the central imperial universe. Take the Buddhist bead when you get here, and you can go to the central imperial universe. Let's go." With that said, Ling Wuxin put away the lotus and led Luli to the path to the heavens. On the last 2 steps of the path to heaven, she looked back at Luli and said, "Your poison will take effect in half a year. So, if you can't get to the Lung family in half a year, you will die. Take care." Ling Wuxin flew up at once, leaving Luli alone. There was no gravity on this step. Luli waited for a while, and then stepped onto the last step. Buzzing. The scene in front of Luli changed. He had come to a strange world. Everywhere he looked were glistening mountains. There were strange metals and minerals everywhere. The mountains were all strangely shaped. There were some strange trees that were dark gold or gold in color as well. Fire, wood, earth, water, gold, ice, wind, darkness, soul, thunder, 10 prisons of primordial chaos. The 5th level, the prison of gold. Luli took a look and said to himself, "Nothing is too strange in this world." Ling Wuxin said the next 5 levels are not dangerous? He couldn't even imagine how horrifying the 6th level and above would be. Luli took out the map of the prison of gold. He was at the center of the prison of gold. To go to the central imperial universe, he must go to the west. Ling Wuxin was nowhere to be found. Luli had to walk to the central imperial universe on his own. He stood there for a while and then flew to the west. He didn't go far before he hid in a mountain of gold nearby. He took out some food and water to have a good meal to replenish his energy. Live on. I must live on. I want to be stronger. I want to go home. Go home. Leaning against the wall, Luli murmured to himself. He forgot about Lu Ling, Lu Feixue, Lu Renhuang and the others, his longing for Bai Qiushu and Jiang Qiling and his worry for Little White. He must forget about the Heaven Reverse universe. Otherwise, those things would become a burden to him. He would not be able to bear the burden and he would collapse. The prison of gold was full of dangers. Even if he went to the Central Imperial Universe, he would still have a slim chance of making it out alive. He must pull himself together and fight with his wits and courage. Only by doing everything he could he have a chance to survive and to go home. For his family, for his lover, for his friends, for himself, he must live on and fight against the wretched heaven. No matter how difficult the future would be, no matter if there was a path ahead of him, he would go on until he could go back to the heaven reverse universe or die. Phew, phew! Luli exhaled. He recalled what he had gone through in the past few years. The solemn look on his face faded away. Over the years, he had been in desperate situations many times. But every time, he managed to turn danger into safety and survive. Since he could survive so many times, he would survive this time as well. He must be able to go home. Home, home, home. This idea kept popping up in Luli's mind. Gradually, it took root and became his fighting spirit. In order to go home, he swore to himself that he would do whatever it took. Even if he had to kill millions, even if he had to cross mountains and rivers, even if he had to go through all the worlds, even if he had to kill all the heroes in the world, he would go back. Many people were waiting for his return, for him to go home. 2 hours. Luli sat in the Gold Mountain for 2 hours. He gradually calmed down and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Carrying the divine weapon of Dragon King, he walked out from the Gold Mountain and walked toward the west step by step. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.